Dun, dun, dun. Hey there, everybody. Good evening. It's finally Friday. For those of you that work a Monday through Friday schedule, or even if you don't, just the fact that it's Friday. I know for myself, this has been a crazy week, crazier than usual. So I'm very happy that it's Friday, and I'm happy that I have a little drink here, and I have another drink behind it, and I have another one behind that, just in case. You never know. But thank you so much for joining us. This is the Fun Table Sessions, round number 9. God, it's kind of crazy for me to think that, this started on the Alice tour when, so that would have been, I think, the end of July, early August was the first Fun Table during the Alice tour. And then it just kind of took on a life of its own, and it's still going, obviously. And I'm extremely happy about how they've been. I've been having a ton of fun with these. Hopefully you have as well. And so we're live right now. I see on Facebook. I better check Twitch to see if that one. Yeah, we're live there as well. And we're also live on YouTube. So everything's doing what it needs to do technology-wise. If you're watching and you feel like you want to chat from any of those platforms, obviously put them in. I'm on my phone for those that have not seen these before, so I cannot type back to you, but I always read the comments and try to incorporate what you say into the Fun Table Session. So it's kind of like you're here at the pub with us, or at the bar or whatever. And also, just to let people know, the second giveaway that Eclectic Arts has ever done, is happening tonight. So the first guest who won a Blu-ray should have received it today, based on what the U.S. mail said. But there is a second brand new Blu-ray from Wilgo USA that I'm going to be giving away sometime during this Fun Table Session. There will be a question related to something that's been said during the session. I don't make it hard. I don't like those kind of contests when you have to write a dissertation and give up your firstborn and all those kind of things. I'll make something fairly easy for anyone to have a chance to win this. I should actually show it because I have it right here. So it's Invincible Dragon, and if you're an MMA fan, it has Anderson Silva in it, which I don't know if he's done films before. And then Max Zhang is a martial artist. So Wilgo does lots of cool Asian cinema that they bring out here to the U.S., and they're kind enough to donate this brand new Blu-ray. So that's going to be going in the mail on Monday to somebody. And beyond that, the other housekeeping item is that on Monday, the 21st, I have a brand new interview that just got solidified today. There's a new film called Alone that opened today, and the star of the film is going to be joining me on Monday. And so Jules Wilcox will be here at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, and I'm looking forward to talking to her about her role in that film and everything else that she's done as an actress. So that's on Monday. And then next Friday, a week from today, I don't know how many people have been asking me about, hey, why don't you ask a member of Alice to come join the Fun Table Session? Why don't you ask a member of Alice? And it's like, your wish is kind of my command, because we have scheduled, things happen in case something, doesn't work out. But we have scheduled as of right now, Steve Kafalis, the drummer for Alice, will be joining us at the Fun Table. We have Justin Coughlin, amazing jazz pianist who is a protege of Clark Terry and Quincy Jones. He is going to be joining us. And Mike Gruel from Shooting Star Skydiving Gear Superstore, it's a mouthful, from Georgia, will be joining us. Hi, Tony. Thanks for saying hi. Hopefully you're doing well over on the East Coast and here on this Friday. And yeah, so that's kind of what's coming up. Alice fans like Tony and anyone else that happens to be watching or starts to join, the third leg of the Alice Inside Out virtual tour will be starting on October 8th. And so I've been invited to come back and join the band. We're kind of getting the band back together, or all of us that are involved with the tour. So that's going to be exciting. I'm starting to schedule interview guests already. And that's going to be, that's going to be really fun. It kind of seems like it's been a long time since we were on tour together for the second leg, but it's going to be good to come back, especially in October, since I'm a huge Halloween and October horror kind of fan. I know the band is too. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be the 8th through the 22nd of October. And then after that, I go back to these because I already have other guests that want to do them. So this is great. I love the fact that there's other artists and creators that want to come out there and do these things. And thanks, Tony. I really appreciate the comment. And again, hopefully you're doing good over there. And this is going to be a lot of fun. So if you saw the one on Saturday, I barely talked. which was awesome. The guests were talking to each other. I kind of interjected when I needed to. My questions are obviously all sitting here as they always are to my left. And so we have those to kind of go from. But I am super stoked to bring these guests tonight to the fun table to all of you. And so let's kind of get to getting here. My first guest was, oh boy, I have to, like pandemic brain. I got squishy brain, as Sasha would say it. Was the second guest on the first leg of the Alice tour. And she was gracious enough to come back a second time because we had some technical issues. So our interview time got cut basically in half that first day, which I think was the 20th, or Saturday, the 23rd of May. And then she came back, I think, the following Saturday, I want to say. And so she has played Christine Daae, the lead in the North American tour of Phantom of the Opera. She's talked about her sustainable farm that her family has up north in Vancouver. And so let's welcome to the Fun Table session, round 9. The first guest is Eva Tavares, and here we go, as long as I can get this going.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Eva. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing okay. I'm so glad that we're starting to get some rain down here, and the smoke's slowly starting to move elsewhere. And it's like, at least there's something.
Just gotta hold on to something. Rain is good. It's getting slightly less smoky here as well on the West Coast, or Pacific Northwest, I guess. Up a little bit higher.
That's good. So, I mean, have you guys been kind of like how it's been for us, where it's been roughly 2 weeks of this stuff going on?
I'd say it's been worse in the last week. Yeah.
Okay.
Today was the first day I was like, oh, I'm going to cough up a bunch of smoke. I felt it in my throat today. It was not so fun.
Yeah, and I hear you. I know right after Labor Day down here, so the Tuesday, I was doing an interview with a guest in New York, and I told her that earlier in the day I went to go do some errands, and I was like, "Is that pollen on my car?" And I went and blew on it. It was ash that went everywhere, and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it's like, "Yeah, I know." So it gets a little real to you when you see ash everywhere.
Yeah.
Let alone the folks that are dealing with being displaced and losing homes and all that kind of thing. But it just. Like we were talking pre-show, what else can you add to this year?
Yep, pretty much.
I saw there's a meme going around about that. Like for you guys up in Canada, it would be October, but for us in the U.S., it would be November for Thanksgiving. They're saying, so what's coming up next? And they showed like this turkey that was like the size of Godzilla coming for 2020. It's like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And if you brought some friends, it's like, oh my gosh. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm so glad you're here, and let's bring your guest mate, friend, former castmate on. So the next guest has also played Christine Daae. Has also been part of the female ensemble of Phantom of the Opera North American tour. And she was also a guest on the Alice tour on the second leg. And so I'm so happy to have Team Christine brought together tonight. Let's welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio Fun Table Session Round 9, Emma Grimsley.
Whoa! Oh, where'd she go?
Hi!
Hi, Emma.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. How are you doing down there in Louisiana?
Hanging in.
Yeah, that's
just like buckle up. It's just getting weirder every day.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, no one could have written this script. I mean, it's so bizarre, things that have happened. And I know even just for myself personally that this week has been survival job week. It's gotten to a point where I need to have a survival job because money's dried up and those kind of things. And it's like, hey, you do whatever you have to do. And I'm lucky that some things kind of went my way. So the one that I wanted ended up coming my way after I'd accepted something else that I didn't quite want. So that's kind of, I guess, the silver lining or whatever I can say, if there is a silver lining to things. But yeah, that aspect of it worked out. But like I mentioned to everybody that's out there, that I have where's my bottle? Let's see, this thing. There we go. So it came from 7 years old. It's Bell's Expedition.
13.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Expedition
it's a stout. Oh.
Yeah, so for those out there that are into, like, obviously most people know you can cellar wine, certain styles of beer you can cellar as well, and they change and improve and all this kind of thing.
Wow.
I thought 7-year-old stout, after this week, let's pop that sucker open.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
How is it? How is it?
It's, it's really smooth. What happens with stouts after a certain amount of time is that they'll get this, they'll lose the alcohol taste to them. So this thing's 10.5 for a stout, that's kind of high, but you don't taste it at all. It's like it kind of ages itself out. So it's almost like you're drinking any kind of beer, which is kind of dangerous because the alcohol's so high in it still. But it's really nice. But the one behind it is 10 years old. That actually might be past its peak. We're gonna find out live.
That's funny.
We'll kind of see what happens. But speaking of drinks, so Emma, are you drinking anything right now?
She's got something very exciting there.
Sort of an old-fashioned.
Okay.
Old-fashioned ish.
And it was a mix of different things that you're just kind of putting together. Is that correct?
I was like, I know what's in an old-fashioned. I'm not going to look up how much. And I just sort of winged it. I winged it. I don't know how to
I don't know. I think both work. Just roll with it.
So that's what we got. That's what we're doing tonight.
That's
nice.
What's happening.
And then Eva, what are you drinking up there?
I wish I had alcoholic something, but this is rhubarb lemonade that I made on the farm. And I have an empty bottle of wine, but it is empty because I was using it for a prop. So we're just doing the rhubarb today.
Okay,
Very on brand.
I know. Nothing if not consistent.
Okay, awesome. So let's kind of see here. What I can tell you is that with the fun table sessions, every time I've done one, I find questions on the internet, and they're from a variety of sites. Some of them are really basic things that you might hear at an icebreaker for a meeting or whatever. I try to stay away from those if I can. I try to find the odd ones or the silly ones or sometimes they're kind of gross. I
can safely say that Emma and I have our ice broken.
Yeah, ice very broken.
There's broken ice here. I'm not sure if you're gonna need to break any ice.
Awesome. That means we can get right into the more fun questions.
Do it.
And then we can, like I've mentioned, we can go on any kind of tangent. So sometimes we ended up talking about Star Wars during one of these. We talked about beer stuff. Someone asked me about my teaching background. I mean, there's no real rules to this, and there's no pressure either. So if I ask a question that you're like, I don't know if I want to put that out there, that's fine too. So you don't have to. This isn't junior high or anything like that. I'm not going to peer pressure.
I don't want to go back there.
Neither do I.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. Let's not do that again, please.
All right. So let's see. Let's start off with what I would consider something kind of easy. When was the last time you used a cuss word?
Oh.
Today.
Actually, I just used one earlier today. I wrote a few monologues for Eva. I sent you the new drafts of them.
I know, I saw it. I haven't looked at it yet, but I saw the email.
I was reading through them to my boyfriend, who's also a writer. I was like, "Does this work? What do you think?" And there's some curse words in there, so I think that's the last time. Either that or to bring it down for a moment. When I heard the news that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, that was definitely some curse words. Raise a glass to her. What a hero.
Bless her.
Yeah.
This is
the wrong time, but maybe the right time. I'm just hoping that there's some kind of silver lining to the timing of it.
Yeah. Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we lost John Lewis earlier, obviously.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh God.
And we lose her. And so, I actually had said a cuss word too earlier today when I saw that on social media. And it was like, and actually one of my friends actually posted just one cuss word. That's all. I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, and then, so Eva, would that be the same? Oh, you said one today.
Oh, I swear a lot. I have to really filter myself in life. I had this, I don't know if I've ever told you this, Emma. I used to have stress dreams about being at press and saying something. bad because especially on the farm, it's part of the, stuff happens and, they just fly out. You have no control. There are sheep on the road. There are, things that break. There's not enough, energy in the batteries for the evening, all kinds of things. It's just a hot mess. So, yeah, it's a pretty consistent, I have to really rein it in sometimes.
Okay.
If I'm being honest.
No, that makes sense. I think when there's authenticity, then people tend to appreciate it, and they can relate to that. I mean, I still remember, so, like, I started off as a teacher way back in the early '90s, and people kind of looked at me that like, that's like you're a teacher 24/7. That's like, no, I understand why they do that, but no, when I'm home, F bombs and F things come out of my mouth. And you're human. It just happens. I still remember when a student ran into me over Christmas break at a mall, and he was like, Mr. Sugiyama, Mr. Sugiyama. I heard that from behind me. So I'm like, I knew that had to be a student because no one else calls me that. And he just kind of looked at me like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, returning something from Christmas. And he was like, how come you're not teaching or in the classroom? Or I'm like, why would I be on the
I'm not there all the time. It's not like I live there.
Yeah, I don't sleep in my portable or whatever.
Oh, can you imagine? Ooh, those portables though.
Oh, yeah.
No.
My whole first 5 years I was in a portable when I was teaching, and then they moved me into the main part of the building, which was there's pros and cons of that too.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
I'm thinking of like the late James Lipton. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Oh, when he died, that list went around, and I remember being particularly stumped by this question. This is a very good question.
What your favorite curse word is?
The James Lipton question list at the end of Inside the Actors Studio, he would always ask, when you get to heaven, what do you want God to say to you? And what's your favorite sound and your least favorite sound? And all these, he asked actors these questions at the end of his show. And that question was on there. And I was like, oh man, I don't know what I would say.
I don't know. I have no idea. They all have such a specific purpose.
Yeah, probably can we say them?
Yeah. This is the fun table. You can say anything you want.
Is this a place where that's okay?
Probably the F word. I guess that'd probably be my favorite.
And then she didn't even say it.
I know, I got scared.
To be fair, I'm also scared, Emma, so it's okay.
Well, Emma, I agree with you, so I'll just say it. Fuck.
Yeah, fuck is great.
Captain Blackwood. Well, crap, fuckles, y'all acting so innocent. I know. It's you know what though? It's because we have lived in ingenue land, so we have to be, so that like this.
True. That is true. I had a real moment of like, but what if someone hears me swear?
It doesn't matter.
I know, and everyone in our lives would be like, "That's hilarious." They swear all the time.
Well, exactly. That's the thing that's so funny. I have a friend of mine who said something along the lines of, "Your social media is so clean," or something. And I said, "Well,
it's
here's the thing.
Of tour.
It's because of tour, because of course the fan base for Christine's is a lot of young women, and of course we want to make sure. I don't think there's any problem with swearing, but I also don't need to inundate a 14-year-old's Instagram feed with me swearing. That's, right. But it's just, and like I said, I don't think me swearing would make me less of a good role model. However, I know that some parents wouldn't like that. So we're just not going to do that in the Instagram world. But in real life, listen, I don't. Oftentimes also my brother and I have taken to making lewd comments in Portuguese. That's been a real theme of quarantine for us. That one's good. So a pontinha da pirina, just the tip. Always, just a whole bunch of that.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So hi, Captain Blackwood, and Max just joined us too. So hi to you guys. And but like even what you were saying, I go back to, again, when I was teaching,
Mhm.
that I have to be aware that just because I'm okay with something doesn't mean maybe a more conservative parent is going to
Yeah.
take issue with that. I remember I actually had that happen. I used to do this thing where, this is back when there was video stores. They would keep all the new posters for me that they didn't put up on their walls. And then I would use the appropriate ones and put on my classroom walls. And then when they came down, if a kid wanted one or student wanted one, they would bring in a can of food. So we'd do a swap.
Aw.
Yeah, and we'd
Yeah.
collect the canned food and then bring it to the food bank. Well, I had a parent that looked at one of the posters and it's like, why is that up there? And had a whole issue with it. And I was like,
Mm.
and I never put any rated R things up ever on the walls, but
Mhm.
she took exception to something, and I'm not going to fight that. So I was like, I immediately took it down, said, not a problem. It'll never happen again.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it like, what is wrong with that?
Right.
With the imagery of it. So, and it seems like F-bomb seems to be the number one
Oh yeah.
like of the folks in the chat right now that are on, all those folks are on Twitch. So cool.
It's a very satisfying, just like sound wise. Just a really good. It's got a lot of good consonants in it. I love that.
I love it.
All right. Let's see. All right. What is one film you can recommend people check out?
Emma, start. Go.
Oh, I gotta think though.
I mean, mine is a no-brainer, but I mean, if you haven't seen this movie yet, then there are problems, and I kind of judge people who haven't. But my like all-time favorite movie is Clue with Tim Curry, and
This is what we did for your birthday on tour. We all
Yes.
came over and watched Clue.
Yes, and I did not restrain myself well from quoting the entire thing. But another movie that everyone should check out, which is a movie that Em and I watched together, is Sleeping with Other People.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so good, right? Allison,
It is like it'll satisfy all your rom-com desires.
yeah, but also good acting.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, who is it? It's Adam Scott, Allison Brie. Is it John Krasinski or Jason Sudeikis? I always get them
I
confused.
think it's Jason Sudeikis.
Okay, thank you. We watched it
looking
in
it
a
up.
hotel room in Columbus, and it was great. It was also my birthday. That was also
your
my
birthday.
birthday. Aww.
And we ate your gluten-free birthday cake.
We did that sad little hotel room in Columbus. Actually, that was an okay hotel room, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think of what, for your birthday, Emma, what did we do the first year on tour? Where were
First
we?
year on tour, we were in Durham.
Oh, that place. Oh, I'm sorry, anyone who's from Durham. I didn't like it there.
It was our first show in Durham. I like flew in that morning.
Oh God.
The first
Okay.
year, that's where it was. The second year, we were in Pittsburgh.
Yes, and I was away, but
And you're away. And then the third year was not my birthday on tour.
No, I know.
Tour was done.
but Simon, we flew Simon out
yes,
for her birthday the second year.
Eva helped surprise me with a visit from my boyfriend, which was, and I don't think I've ever been more surprised. That was truly a shock. I had no idea.
Nice.
That was a good phone call again. It worked, and I'm like, okay. I was back in Canada doing something else, and I was like just trying to make sure that everything was working from far.
He did. It was such an elaborate, like, so he was working a day job. He was in LA working a day job, and the day before all this happened, he told me he slept terribly. He did not sleep well. He was putting on this whole charade. He was texting me all day while he was at work, saying, not doing his job, and saying, saying, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then that evening, he, because we would like video chat before bed to say goodnight, because we were like, being in a relationship long distance, but then also on the road where everybody's always in different places. And so we were saying goodnight, and it was early. It was really early his time for him to go to bed. I was like, man, he must be exhausted. And so he was like, all right, I'm going to sleep. I'm sorry. I'm just so tired. I was like, okay, great. Hung up the phone. Little did I know, he had his like clothes on under the covers, and he just like stood up, got in the car with his friend and drove to the airport, flew overnight to the East Coast. And then that morning he was like, hi. I was like, oh, I thought you were asleep.
I thought you were asleep.
It was
yes,
awesome.
Tony. Yes, Tony. Durham is a little rough. Sorry, Durham.
Wow. That's
I
awesome.
I have to, my iPad won't let me see the chat. I have to like pop it up and then close it. Yeah, Durham was a little rough. Durham, there was a great crystal store in Durham though. Speaking of stuff that you and I have in common.
This is true. Yes.
Did we go there together?
No, you just told me about it. I was a very sad person there. I had really bad allergies and I was not a happy camper.
Yeah, that was
happy.
a rough ride. Durham was a rough ride. But shout out to Everyday Magic in Durham because there was a bunch of really cool stuff at that store.
If there's anything that we remember from tour,
it's where the cool crystal stores are.
Listen.
So what's the interest in crystals and all this? Can you tell everybody more?
Emma, go.
I think it's just like it's just one of the many places where like the Venn diagram of the two of us sort of crosses over.
That's cute.
With just the like a little bit supernatural, a little bit the sort of like holistically supernatural thing. We're interested in energy, interested in crystals, as many women of our generation have been targeted for being we love crystals.
And specifically on our tour as well.
Yeah, there were a lot of us on tour. That
were
digging crystals. I think when you're on tour and everything is high pressure and everything is different all the time, you just sort of like cling to whatever is going to make you feel like you have any kind of control. So if I picked up like, I don't know, like my pyrite or something, like whatever crystal that I bought at the store, I would be like, oh, this will bring me this sort of energy today. I just stick it in my pocket and feel like maybe I had some kind of control over my day. But
it's like like the kind of
work.
it's just kind of like the thing of even the what's it called? The setting up of something consistent, right? Like every city, you're gonna have
routine,
your cards and your crystals, and like these are the things that are gonna be still there. That I think
grocery shopping. What was your first day on tour when you got there? What would you do? When you got to a new city.
In a new city? Well, I mean, you and I were consistent, like same.
We did basically the same thing.
I sound so basic, but like find the Whole Foods.
Find the best grocery store.
Find the best grocery store and like sort that out. And then I'm trying to think of or put my clothes away. Gotta like put stuff in places, unpack. Set up where the crystals and the cards go, because listen, usually a little like saging, because who knows who's been in that hotel room. That was pretty much it. Those were like the things. But Emma and I lived together a few times on tour, which also made our stage management team a little bit nervous because it was like, oh, if one of them goes down, then we're going to be low on Christine's. Like
that was in Dayton, Ohio. So there's Principal Christine. Eva was Principal Christine at the time. There's an alternate who goes on for her when she takes her shows off, and then another understudy who goes on if there's like a third show off or something, like maybe, say Eva comes down with a cold. They'll split it up.
We're all sick and dying.
Well, the other understudy was out with the flu.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and I got sick at the exact same time. And we were like, oh no. And we would just wake up. We'd wake up in the morning and look at each other and go, can you do it today? Like, which one of us is going to do it today?
That was a close.
And we made it through.
I have no idea how. You were so sick. Well, I mean, we were both really not feeling well, but you were like particularly not well.
I couldn't get out of bed.
No, you were not doing well, and it was like there was literally only us two, and both like we were struggling. It was and we went to the ENT together that city.
We did.
We went to the doctor together. We had a date to go to the doctor because we weren't sure if it was safe for us to sing the show. But what I was going to say was when we were living together in Springfield, was when we started doing now this is really getting into it. I don't really like talk about this on the social media so much, but like Emma and I developed a ritual of sorts for the full moon, which basically consisted of us sitting in a circle, us sitting in a circle, us sitting across from each other, that's right, and having a little bowl of water and our crystals all around and some candles, and then we would talk about things that we wanted to let go of for the next month, and things we also wanted to focus on to support ourselves and the other people around us moving forward. And I remember that night so vividly because it was such a special night, and it really started a thing that Emma and I still do now. Like when we're apart, we'll FaceTime.
Over FaceTime now, but yeah.
But like this, I wish it was in person, but no. Yeah. So that's like, regardless if someone believes that, crystals can change someone's health miraculously or something like that. I think just the act of like setting intentions and having them be a point of focus for your brain, like, that pyrite or whatever, you used it for writing, right?
Yeah, I did.
Like just like having it to be like, oh, this is going to support me. Even that thought itself is going to support the process. Yeah. So I think it's all really valid.
Yeah. At the best, it's conducting a certain kind of energy. Mm-hmm. At the like most skeptical, it's a talisman. It's something to like say, this means confidence to me, or like this means whatever. So it's sort of, you sort of can't lose, I guess.
No, you can't lose. It's all good.
Well, I'm completely curious when you're describing when all three of you were down with a bug. What happens if it was like all three of you are to the point where you can't get out of bed? Is it like drawing straws? Like somebody's got to do it, or do they cancel what do they do?
I mean,
luckily we never got to that point, but I wonder if it's because we knew that they would have to call the show if one of us, one of us probably pushed ourselves to like sing the show that we otherwise would not have sung. But I mean, I guess we had some close calls in the last few months, just like on there was a chunk in the Hawaii where
I wasn't there for that.
Everybody
I just heard
went
the stories.
Hawaii. So we had been on the road in a lot of cold cities for a like long string, and we got the news about, I don't know, like 8 months ahead of time that we were going to Hawaii. And everybody, all we could talk about every show all the time was Hawaii. We were so excited to go to Hawaii. And we got to Hawaii, and it was just like mishap after mishap after mishap. Also had a great run. The run was great. We all had a great time. But also, there were a lot of people getting hurt. I was among them, but not in the show, just like on the beach. People adventuring around the island and getting hurt. A lot of people getting sick. A lot of strange things happening. We had like a Hawaiian medicine man come and bless the theater because so many things had gone wrong. We like called him in to try and
so bad.
But there was a stretch there where the fellow, I guess I'm saying fellow, the fellow who played Raoul, Jordan Craig. I don't know why I said fellow.
That's okay. Fellow works.
The fellow who played Raoul was out he was sick, and one of his understudies at one point got trapped in an elevator and almost missed the show.
Didn't know that part of the story.
That was a crazy day.
Who was that?
Then Herb.
Oh, bless him.
And then the same understudy, he brought candy for everyone one day just because he was like feeling generous. And he grabbed the cake knife that we use for birthday cakes to open this package, and he gashed his hand open, had to go to the hospital. So we were running low on
Raoul's
that city.
Oh man, Michael. And then didn't Michael wasn't he sick or something for part of it?
Michael cut his foot. Like I cut.
That's right.
I cut my foot on a barnacle on a rock in Hawaii, and missed like a week and a half of shows because of it.
Such a bummer.
It fell right on my foot where my point shoes, that we wear point shoes for the beginning of the show, right where those hit my foot, so I couldn't wear them without it like potentially compromising the stitches that I had to get. So I had to sit out, and that was my first city as Principal Christine too. So that was a huge bummer.
Oh my gosh,
That was a time.
I can't believe that.
Wow, all these things that again, I think the average fan, customer, patron has no clue.
Nope.
Has been going on, especially in your guys' case, because you were on the road for 2 to 3 years, depending on when you started. That you're going to encounter just like being in a band, all kinds of crazy stuff that happens, and you can't necessarily predict it. It's shit that happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had Emma and I had one city where we Springfield again, when we were consistently hurting ourselves.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that? So, this is a good story.
We had also when we were in Durham Dayton, and we were both sick at the same time.
That was
We just like had this catchphrase we would say to each other when one of us was sick or one of us was hurt and it was just feeling really hard to go to work. We would just look at each other before bed and go, "We're gonna feel great tomorrow.
We're gonna feel great tomorrow. It's gonna be great.
Great tomorrow." But yeah, in Springfield, you cut yourself on something, and then I cut myself on a kitchen knife, and then you twisted your ankle.
Yeah. It was back and forth of us taking care of each other. It was pretty funny. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning, and I slammed my heel into like the edge of the what's that called? It's like the molding at the bottom of the floor, like the white. There's another name for that. Anyways, I slammed that, and I was bleeding everywhere. And I unfortunately have this really annoying thing where if I bleed, I just pass out. So I just had to lie on the floor. I was so worried about waking up Eva because, of course, we had been out late the night before doing the show. But I was fully losing consciousness, and I just kept my head between my knees and hoped to God that I didn't actually. And then the next day, is that when you sliced your hand open?
Yeah.
And then she was feeling sick, and we weren't sure if we were needing to take her to the hospital. And then like a few days later, we were getting some food after a show, and I missed a step on the way out and went over on my ankle and actually ended up tearing a ligament in my ankle. And Emma was so funny.
Do you remember why you tripped?
Well, I don't tell that part of the story because you feel bad about it.
I still feel bad about this because
No,
she was trying to fix the tag in the back of my shirt was out, and she was like, "Oh wait, let me get it." Whoa! And then she fell off.
If anything, it's my fault. Anyways, but that ended up being like a 2-3 month recovery period because my poor ankle was just like poosh, so big, and
it was very swollen. I kept trying to tell her it was fine. I was like, "No,
fine.
It's gonna be fine. You just need to ice it." And it was like,
it was really bad.
You'll feel great tomorrow.
It's gonna be great tomorrow. You're gonna feel
so
great
good
tomorrow. So good, so good.
Oh my gosh. I'm loving these stories. Please keep sharing them.
There are 1,000 of them.
There are many. Yeah.
I'm sure there's other people that are doing the exact same thing, that they're just loving hearing this kind of like behind the scenes kind of stuff, and the mishaps that happen on what they probably again think is like this luxury life of being on tour and everything is like a fairy tale. It's like no.
It's like real life on steroids. Like everything that's hard in real life is then amplified by the steroids, like, and actually steroids sometimes. Like, it's
sometimes you got to take steroids.
Sometimes you also have to take steroids to just survive. It's literally like, I've said this in so many interviews, and I'm sure I've said this to you, Mark, but like, people say that all the time, like, you're living the dream. And of course it is the dream, and we're so grateful for it, and we're doing this amazing gig with this amazing show. But it's also like having a child. Like, you are so grateful for it, and it also keeps you up at night, and you're cleaning up someone else's crap, and it's like all of the hard things and the emotions and the no sleeping and the great things. It's everything at once.
Yeah, that I mean, it kind of sounds like some of the things when I used to be a teacher, that people are, oh, you must feel so good because you're touching so many lives. I say, well, yeah, that's absolutely part of it. But there's this other part of it too that's like, holy crap, and you go home and you start day drinking or whatever on a weekend. and anything to just release that stress, and people that have done it totally get it, but people that haven't, they're thinking, oh yeah, you're in this kind of interesting bubble that they have in their head. It's like,
Right.
yeah, no, you only have like part of the picture. You're not even close to having the whole picture.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, let's see here.
Hit us.
Oh, well, speaking of that, there's that question I wanted to ask.
How's that old fashioned there, Emma? It's pretty good. Oh, nice.
I think I nailed it.
Nice.
I think I totally nailed it.
Nice.
All right. If someone asked to be your apprentice and learn all that you know, what would you decide to teach them?
Oh my God, that is a very tough question there, Mark. You know what we should do? Actually, as I commandeer your interview there, Mark, I think we should answer for each other.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because I feel much more confident answering that question for Emma, like as your friend, like, you know what I mean?
Oh man. Okay, do you have an answer?
For you?
Yeah.
What you should teach other people? Your apprentice, as your apprentice? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Emma is like, in my opinion, the perfect combination of head and heart. Because but no, in all honesty, like, she has the most brilliant brain. Like, she has these crazy ideas, not even crazy ideas, just brilliant ideas that just in all different areas of things. As she's a writer, she's a performer, she's an actress, she's just this brilliance up in here. But then I think that a lot of people can be brilliant up here but not have the heart connected to it. So I think she would need to teach them how to combine this open emotional side with the intelligence, because that's a very specific thing that people should know how to do.
That is very sweet. I love that.
It's true. That's what I think.
Oh, I love that. I love that a lot. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Oh man.
I only speak the truth.
Let me see. I think I'm gonna answer that question by way of another answer, which is like the thing that's astounding about you is your ability to at once be so receptive to like the feelings of the people around you and the people that you love, and at the same time have like this grounded confidence and ease that follows you into everything, but especially your work, and like the ability to stay open enough to the people that you care about, while at the same time, like, I feel like often people can do one or the other. They're either like motivated, grounded, focused, or they have the capacity to like share themselves. Right. And you do both of those things so easily. Aww. That like, I think that is a skill that someone would love to learn from you, i.e. me, that I'm
You're so funny.
Always trying to learn from you. That like, it's like the mix of like confidence and compassion that is like kind of like unbelievable.
Aw, thanks. We're really big fans of each other. It's very
really big fans of each other. I'm trying to think of like a practical thing. What's a practical thing I would want to learn? Anything farmy. I would love to like birth a sheep.
Oh Lord.
Or
it's
like
not fun all the time.
Maybe you could teach me how to can. I don't know how to can.
You know what? I'm not even a good one on that. My mom knows more about that. I would love, I mean, I can't write like Emma can write. Like Emma can, no, I'm not even joking. Like Mark, she hasn't even like let the world into the brilliance that is Emma. Like she comes up with these, I'm not kidding. Like she comes up with these things, and like we had Emma and I like bounce ideas off each other all the time, and she'll say something. I'm like, what? Like, where did that come from? How did you get there? And I just like, that's what's so, I would love to like sit down and like dissect how one can come up with those things. But I don't even know if she can impart that, because that's like, I don't know, some kind of direct line from something else. Just bam, bam.
That, like Tony said, that's sweet. And yeah, for me, hearing both of your, your descriptions of things for each other, that was just really beautiful. And what you're just what you're saying, Eva, that actually reminds me of I had Justin Coughlin, who is an amazing jazz pianist, on who lost his sight when he was 11,
wow.
and
Wow.
he was learning at his college with Clark Terry, who's one of the best trumpet players ever to walk the face of the earth. And then Clark's a good friend with Quincy Jones, and so that's how they all got connected. But
Cool.
when I did the interview with Justin, and you can go, anyone that's watching this who saw that interview knows what I'm talking about. Justin would say these things, and I brought it up to him. I'm like, what you said was so profound, and he just laughed it off. Oh no, I'm full of baloney. I don't even know what I'm saying. I was like, no, you should really go back and like write a book or something, because the things that are coming out, I think I'm a pretty good judge of like character, and I'm a writer too, so I kind of know when things are said. I'm like, holy crap, he just said this. I was trying to write stuff down that he was saying, and it was so quotable, and it was just
That's
amazing.
Emma.
Yeah, exactly. So when you were saying it, that's what
Yeah.
it sounds like. What Emma Pye doesn't even think about it, just comes
No.
out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like when we were we're talking about these full moon ceremonies that we do. I'm just like we'll talk about these things that I want to let go of, but that both of us want to let go of, and we'll write them out, and then we say them out loud. And hers are always like so profound, and I think I say it to her. I'm like, well, you wrote that nicer than what I said, which is like, be less frustrated with my mother or something like that. But she's like says something really lovely and beautiful in that same vein. I'm like, well, I can't make it sound like that, but okay. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel, Mark. That's a pretty accurate comparison to draw.
Awesome. Well, so Emma, I can't help but ask you. So, with your writing, what kind of you're writing screenplays, or what are you writing, and what's kind of your inspiration, at least right now?
Right now, I'm working on a pilot, on like an hour-long TV pilot. This is the closest to an autobiographical thing I've ever written, which is why it's taken me so long to write, because I wrote one version of it and it was not quite it, and then I had to look at all the ways in which this character is like myself and sort of start over. While I was on tour, I finished a play about the women who worked in the aircraft manufacturing plants in the U.S. during World War II, and about more so than about their work, it was about the moment after the war and sort of what happened to this entire sort of generation of American women, several generations, who had found a new sense of purpose in work that hadn't been available to them beforehand, that was very suddenly taken away when the war was over. So sort of what happens in the months after the war to a family who, the family also includes a returning serviceman. So that element as well, like, how do you come back after something like that? So very heavy play. But I finished that while we were on the road. Actually, one of the highlights of this crazy quarantine was getting to do a reading of that play over Zoom with some actors that I really admire, and feeling excited about where that is right now, but sad that it'll be a while till we get to ever put it on a stage. So it's just sort of sitting. It's actually literally sitting up there, kind of collecting dust right now. I have like a paper copy of it with all my notes. And working on the TV pilot, I'm outlining a feature right now. Eva and I have been kicking around some ideas with another collaborator for a short film that we could potentially make happen. Lots of different projects. I think that's been one of the strange blessings of this time is, being an auditioning performer takes all of your energy. It's really, really hard to think about anything else or do anything else, any moment that you're not auditioning, you're looking at the auditions that you could be going to, or you're practicing, or you're adding new music to your repertoire, whatever it is, taking classes, all sorts of things. It takes all of your energy. And one of the gifts of tour was that you could sort of, push pause on that for a minute, because you had a job, you had, up until the show every night, your day was your own. So I got a lot of writing done. Then it's been a little strange to sort of have everything stop. But the gift of that has been a lot of new ideas and new projects sort of dropping into my eye line, and getting to actually work on them because there's time to now. So embracing the multi-hyphenate nature of the kind of stuff that I'm into is scary, but also really, really fun.
Awesome. No, and it just even like using the word hyphenate with what you just talked about, you don't hear too many people say that. And I've done enough interviews to kind of know like what certain phrases, words that come across, and with your journalism background and that type of thing, that I'm starting to understand what Eva's talking about. That the more I listen, the more I'm picking this up. And one of the pluses, again, back when I used to work with children, was that a lot of the counselors wanted me to become a counselor. They said, Mark, you're so good at listening to people and that you pick up things. And I'm like, well, that's nice of you to say, but I don't want to do what you do. It was
right.
Like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But it's weird for me to, all these years later, that skill is kind of putting itself in the forefront when I do. This is much more loose, obviously, but when I'm doing like formal interviews, it's really about listening to your guest and taking in what they say and then steering it whichever way you're going to go. I don't know how many people have asked me about, so how do you come up with your questions for the formal interviews, like what I did with both of you? And I said, I don't have them. I have topics. That's it. And then we roll from that, depending on which direction we go. And Eva, you remember this, that the whole, George Floyd had just been murdered.
Oh, yeah.
That whole time frame, everyone felt this huge stress and there's all this craziness going on. And then Emma, in your case, it was like maybe early August, I think, when we did yours. And there is, COVID had gone back up, and it was just like, holy crap, when are we going to get a break from this stuff? And it just never ends. But when it comes down to it, I think for maybe it's just artistic people in general, but that whole listening of what's going on and also hearing someone else's point of view is so difficult right now. But it makes things, it really kind of helped me kind of figure out, what do I believe in? Where do I stand on things? And it used to be a time when I had some pretty conservative friends, this is years ago, where we could come together on music, movies, theater, that kind of stuff. You can be conservative over here. I might be more liberal over here, but that's okay. But now it's like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, do I have any like distinctly conservative friends around me? And we can't find the middle ground at all on stuff. And that's what makes you a great interviewer. Oh, thanks, Tony.
I agree.
Yeah, totally.
I appreciate that. So the funny side to this is that apparently the band Alice that I've been doing, not this, but the regular tours with, are going to be interviewing me on this upcoming tour. So I'm going to be in the hot seat, and they're going to be firing questions
that's fun.
about stuff. So, but again, I'm loving hearing your stories and your background and the writing things. And yeah, there's definitely, like we've talked about, I think in both of your interviews, there's things that have been a little bit of a silver lining during this time. Maybe they're kind of smaller, maybe they're a little bit larger. But I've had a chance to, become a film reviewer. I mean, that happened during the pandemic. I wasn't doing that kind of stuff prior to that because I'd been out at live events. And then through a really organic process, I went from one film to this other company to now I've got Magnolia and Lionsgate and all these people sending me stuff to review.
Amazing.
And it just happened because I wanted to see a horror film like four months ago.
So you're really into the horror stuff, hey? That's something you like?
I grew up with it. It's part of my background. So I do like the older horror stuff. I know some people can't stand horror stuff at all, but I do have a propensity for it.
Emma, I don't know. I don't know if we're those people. Hey,
I don't think so. I think the most horror-y I get is not even horror. Like I'm like, oh, I'll watch an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and people are like, okay, that's not horror. You can't handle it, and they are correct. I can't handle it.
I have this thing about horror where it's like there's certain things, and I don't know if this actually qualifies as horror because I know very little about the genre. But for example, like Nurse Ratched or Ratched came out today with Sarah Ann Paulson, and I want to see that because I think she's amazing and I love Ryan Murphy as well, but I'm also knowing that I won't sleep. So this is where I'm at. It's just like there's things in that genre that I would like to see because I know it's really well done and the production is really cool and the actors are amazing. But then I just know that it will affect me too much. I will be scared.
She's very receptive.
I'm very receptive
to everyone's energy.
It's not always a positive thing. It's not always good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think someone described it to me that if you liked horror, that you're somebody that also kind of likes to maybe jump out of an airplane or be on a roller coaster. And I can kind of see that, but I don't. You're not going to get me jumping out of an airplane.
Right.
I'm not going to climb a rock because I don't like heights. So
right.
I think as I've gotten older, I am looking for a story. I am looking for performances. If you have cool practical effects, that's great over like CGI stuff. But it's hard to find it. It's hard to find it. In that genre in particular, it's hard to find. Because they seem to drop the ball on some aspect of that. So it's like, well, okay, this is okay. This one's so-so. But then if there's one that I really love, that's like, oh, this is pretty rare in that genre, at least for me, that it hits all those checks all those boxes. But yeah, I've said that, and anyone that is one of the publicists that has been credentialing me for these things, I've already told some people that the other side of being a film reviewer I'm finding is that you have to watch the whole film. So if you're watching an hour of something, you're like, oh my gosh, why did they even make this?
No.
You have to stay for the next hour. You can't just turn it
off.
No.
Yeah, so sometimes it becomes my own horror movie that it's like a torture thing that I have to sit through some of these things.
Oh dear.
And I'm not going to name names or anything, but there's been a couple of them that I was at least honest enough to let the publicist know. If it was a director that contacted me, it's like, hey, I watched your film. I have a review. I have to be honest. It didn't really work for me. I can still publish it. But, I'll just be honest with you. I'm not trying to be some journalistic, poo-ball that's, all high and mighty. So I said, I'm not that. I know who I am. And most of them have just really appreciated the honesty. So they still wanted to see it. They wanted to know, if you didn't like it, I would like to know what you didn't like about it. And so, okay, there you go. And then and actually one of those guys came on and did one of these interviews.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Yeah, he was that cool about it. He said, no, if I don't hear the non-positive feedback, I'm not going to get better. So I said, okay, that's a
good point.
We love a good note or a thought. Constructive
criticism. Yeah.
Constructive criticism is great. We love that.
And that's what he said. He said, Marcus, the way that you went about it and that you were so honest and letting me know ahead of time, and that's what I appreciated of it. And then when I read it, he said, yeah, you actually had valid points. So I was like, okay, well, cool. Because I was afraid that he was going to read me a new one and get defensive and tell everybody, don't ever send anything to that guy. But it worked out okay. It worked out really okay. So it looks like some of these folks are looking forward to the interview with me whenever that happens. Maybe I'll have to be sick that night or something. I don't know.
Oops. Oops.
I'll feel better tomorrow.
That's right. You're gonna feel great tomorrow.
Gonna feel great tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll feel great tomorrow. Oh man.
Should get that tattooed somewhere, Emma.
We should. We've been wondering.
We're gonna feel great tomorrow.
Gonna feel great tomorrow.
Wasn't it like the Lord of the Rings cast that all got tattoos on them?
Yes. I was just saying that the other day because we just watched, my boyfriend and I were here with my parents, and we all saw the movies when they came out, but I love them as well as my boyfriend. I don't think my parents have revisited them, and since then, so we busted out my old extended edition DVDs, and we're doing them all the whole way through. And I was just telling my mom the other day, I was like, all 9 members of the Fellowship have the tattoo that says da da da, and they all have it in different places. Even Ian McKellen. What
did they say?
One of them that didn't get it. I think it says it's something in Elvish. I think.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
See, now my super fan card has been taken away.
It's okay.
I can't remember what it says.
The passion is there.
The passion is there.
Yeah. You know who would know is Kate Davis, probably.
She would know what they say.
Then another Christine. She's a big LOTR fan as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, Emma. I think it is an Elvish, the little thing that
Yeah.
all of them got. Because I mean, there was someone did like professional photography of like Vigos and a couple of the other actors, and they're on different parts of their bodies and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, oh my gosh. I remember when I saw a Return of the King in the theater, that was the first time you could feel the emotion of the audience, like when everybody kneeled to them at the end, and it was like,
Oh my gosh, I have a story about this too. Yeah, it was. I saw it in the theater, and this is not a huge spoiler, but at a certain point, the character Arwen shows up, and you didn't know that she was going to show up. And it was that feeling, like everyone was just like, like so excited. And when she showed up, one kid went, Arwen! And like the whole theater fell apart laughing because they were like, that kid is voicing exactly what all of us are feeling right now. But it was incredibly powerful.
Aww.
It's like the hype had just built for 3 years, and it was, totally. And you know what? They hold up so well because they use so many practical effects. Like the CGI, they like they made those in like 1999, 2000. They came out in like 2002, 3, 4, I think. And they look great. They look really good. They don't look dated. Like, it's just, I'm having a lot of fun revisiting those movies right now. They're the best.
Well, and those, from what I remember, I haven't seen the extended editions in a while, but I remember that those were extended editions that actually made sense. Because sometimes they put out a director's cut of something, and you're kind of, I understand why like 45 minutes of that was not in the theatrical version, but those extended ones, they actually did enhance them, there's more story that made sense and all these other kind of things. And that's kind of a rarity when they go that route.
That's true. Yeah, I had forgotten. It'd been so long since I've seen the extended editions that it was like, getting to discover it all over again. Those great scenes that you're like, oh my gosh, why weren't these in the actual movie? Oh, right. It would have been 3 days long.
All right. All right.
I
love it.
Well, this brings up a movie question for both of you. So what's, there might be several, but maybe there's one film that you've seen, so many times, and maybe it's Clue, or maybe it's, Lord of the Rings or something like that. But is there something else you can think of too that you thought, oh yeah, I've seen that a dozen times, that, I just love it?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, it's a very diverse list. Young Frankenstein was a big movie in my house when I was a kid.
That's, same.
Watched Young Frankenstein a lot. And then Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one.
Right.
That one, I think I still know all the words to. And The Birdcage, anytime The Birdcage is on TV, I will watch it start to finish. It's so good. There are a bunch, but those are 3 big ones.
Well, and I mean, this isn't exactly like all the time appropriate, but White Christmas is a similar one for the two of us as well. Yeah.
We have that one every year. White Christmas every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was just thinking when, Emma, you mentioned The Birdcage, that there's I don't know. It's actually should already be out now. There's a documentary about Robin Williams.
I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah. Robin's Wish.
Sort of more about his disease, what he was actually dealing with.
Oh my gosh.
That was one of the advanced movies that I got sent to me to review. So I reviewed it and saw it, and it is very serious, obviously, about what actually happened with him with the disease that he was diagnosed with right towards the end, and then he was misdiagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, some other things that happened, and so like his close friends, like from high school and college, even noticed that something was different with him. And his wife, who helped make that documentary, said that what Robin would say all the time as things were getting bad was that he wanted to reset his brain. Even he knew something wasn't right, but he couldn't get himself back to the way he was. And they talked to some folks that were on Night of the Museum, the films that he was doing, and some of the last projects. And it's pretty well done. I mean, obviously it's sad because we know what happens. But she wanted to kind of clear the air about, some people still think that he died of suicide. It's like, no, he died of this disease. This is what it did to his brain, and that's what happened. I remember actually told the publicist, I said, this is a really great movie, but it sure made me sad just the same time when I first heard what happened to him, in real life.
Yeah.
But
I do think those movies are important though, because I mean, I didn't know that he was struggling with another disease. It's similar. I hope they make a movie about Chadwick Boseman. I mean, just what he was going through and how much he was accomplishing while he was going through that. And
insane.
and you know, it's important that and how I guess there was a few pictures that were leaked of him when he had lost a bunch of weight near the end of his cancer battle, and people were criticizing him for this weight loss and saying that, oh, you know, the skinny panther, not Black Panther, or like all kinds of weird names and such. And it's just like a bit of a lesson for anyone who was, you know, decided that that was a good thing to do with their time. Like, what? You know, we can't make assumptions about what people are going through.
Yeah, you never know.
Just terrible.
Yeah, no, and exactly what you just said, Eva, about you never know what anyone's going through. So, and I can't imagine what it's like for both of you being known people. And Eva, we actually kind of talked about this one time about like people sending you direct messages about maybe something you posted on Instagram and all this other kind of nonsense. It's like, do you really have that much time in your day to go around and just, you know, say crap to people? Like I see stuff on comments on YouTube that I take off of my videos sometimes. Cause I'm like, don't you have anything better to do than to say that, you know, this sucked, or what? I disagree with you, or they don't even say that. They'll just say something much worse than that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, I think we talked about this, Mark and Emma and I talk about this all the time, about the fact that given that we played this iconic part, and we also traveled all over the country, we have a fan base of people from all different diverse backgrounds and diverse areas and diverse political backgrounds and all of these different things. So we're able, and I do, and Emma does get, you know, messages from people wanting to talk about some of the stuff that's coming up with Black Lives Matter, with politics, with, you know, COVID, whatever. And it's an opportunity to potentially talk to someone from a standpoint that they're not often exposed to, right? And perhaps give them information that is helpful to their growth and, you know, ideological shift. I don't know, but then there's the other stuff that's like, oh, why? Why now? Why this sentence? Or my favorite is that I sent Emma a little voice note a while back. I was having to find some footage for something for an audition, and I had to go on like a YouTube deep dive of bootleg videos from our tour. And some of the comments, man, it's funny. You just gotta laugh. Like, it's just like, it's hysterical. But again, what you do with your time, that's fine. I can't imagine being someone like, you know, hugely famous. And I mean, we have a little taste of it, but like, you have to be so careful with what you expose yourself to, because I think people forget that we're real humans too. Everyone's a real person, like Chadwick. Like, he was a real person going through something, and people decided that it was better. It was a good use of their time to attack him. It's like, he's still a human being. Why are we doing that? You know, he hasn't done anything wrong. It's very strange. Very strange.
No, and I think we've talked about this. I know I've talked about it with other guests too, that you know, social media has given everyone a platform, whether you deserve one or not. You can just create an account, and now you can spout off about anything you want. And I don't know how many times, I just actually had one 2 weeks ago when someone was talking about they're at a political rally here locally. I don't want to get too serious, but he basically was proud of the fact that not a single person there was wearing a mask. I was like, okay, that's why I was like, I'm done with you. I don't need to see this kind of stuff. And if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But I don't need to see that in my feed. That's just, so you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing, and that's just how it's going to be. But it's just like, good grief. And that's why they always talk about it's good to take breaks from social media.
Right.
That has been vital during the pandemic. It's just like, just taking, you know, I've set timers on my phone, on my social media apps. So if I spend a certain amount of minutes on it, it'll just be like, warning, 5 more minutes till you're done for the day. And I'm like,
I need to know how to do
thank you,
that.
phone. Yeah. Oh, it's super easy. Simon did it for me. I'm saying
Oh.
it's easy. I don't know how to do it. Simon knows how to do it.
I'll ask Mr. Cross. He'll sort it
Yes.
out.
Ask Simon. He will teach you how. But
Yeah.
it's been really helpful. And like,
Yeah.
it just finding those moments, you know, sometimes you scroll just to cope with how everything is feeling, and sometimes you gotta put it away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Because in addition to it, like I read a book recently that included a really interesting essay by a woman named Soraya Kamali, where she was talking about the internet and sort of like how it's intersected with gender inequality issues and things like that. And I had never thought of it this way before, but she said that, like, you know, yes, you give everyone a page and they have this platform, this soapbox to spout off, like you said, Mark. And then the added thing that I know even I've talked about since I read this essay, and it just blew my mind, is that those platforms are designed to encourage that kind of discourse, because the more polarizing discourse, the more sort of like hate speech and indignance and this feeling that we're feeling right now of like just being ripped apart.
Extremes.
The more clicks, the more comments, the more shares, the more, you know, it nurtures this feeling in us of like, if I don't say something about this on this platform, that, you know, and in many ways that is true, but also just keeping in the back of your mind that like it's also really good for the platform. So like the platform encourages people to comment something on a video of one of the three of us being like, that's stupid, because somebody's going to upvote it and somebody's going to downvote it.
Right.
And then all of the features of their site are getting used. And that looks great, you know, to their investors and their stock. And, you know, like everything sort of, I know like that's a little bit, it's sort of a lot for me to process that that's an element of it as well. But like, yeah, it's not only does it give everyone their soapbox, it like stokes the fire, because that's what these sites are for.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way. That's kind of like the you know, the social media people up here looking down, like, please do this. Please
exactly.
have discourse. Please not like each other or go after each other. We love it because then it keeps us in business and it keeps, you know, more dollars going into our bank account.
Well, and to a certain extent, we're all like, it's so funny. Like, people are like, actors are so dramatic. It's like, people are just dramatic. You know what I mean? Like, they love the drama. Everyone loves the drama, and they will literally create it if they're bored. You know, and so it's just so funny. It's like, we're not always the dramatic ones. Like, people, you know, it's everyone. People want some excitement with that kind of thing when they're stoking the pot, stirring the pot. I don't know what the right word is.
I like stoking the pot though.
Stoking the pot. I don't know. Words are hard for me. I'm not even drinking. I'm having room for lemonade, and the words are hard. Emma, help me.
Maybe you need to drink, and you'll start to talk.
I know. Oh gosh.
Work for Hemingway and like literally no one else.
Isn't she so insightful, Tony? Yeah. I know. I know. That's all what I've been saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I agree with, you know, Captain Blackwood about, you know, you had to evict people from his social media wall because of things. And it's, for me, it becomes like, I know because of the media outlet that I do, I have to post something every now and then just to kind of stay relevant or whatever. But when it comes to personal things, for the most part, you don't see much about me, like if you look between my Eclectic Arts Facebook and then my personal Facebook, and some of these guys in the chat are on both of them, they see this basically the same stuff. they don't see any difference between the two, because I choose not to post that kind of thing, at least during this time. It's like, well, I actually have better things to do with my time, to maybe be creative, maybe, you know, grab my guitar and actually work on that song that I'm trying to finish. And I want to stay connected, but I'll stay connected at a distance.
Yeah, that's definitely been an element of self-preservation that I've had to do. And like, you know, like Eva said already, like that was such a strange fine line to walk when we were on tour, because I know I've definitely felt myself on social media taking a huge vacation, because there was a pressure when you're Principal Christine on the national tour of Phantom to like sort of like, these people who drove however many hours to get to the nearest big city where you were doing your show, and they follow you on social media, they want to see what's happening. They want to see they want to see backstage, they want to see what your daily life on tour is like. They, a lot of the really like amazing, wonderful fans like know what good friends Eva and I are, or how tight knit Team Christine had become because of social media, which is so wonderful. And that can sometimes translate into this pressure to like post a certain amount or certain content. If a show is feeling particularly hard, but you haven't put up anything about, this costume recently, sometimes you have to take a picture in the costume and like put it on social media. And that was a tough part of the job for me. I had trouble feeling comfortable doing that.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't know how I feel like you are such a whiz at it, Eva. You like really thread that needle of like posting stuff that you care about and stuff that like the fans want to see. And I was like, it made me so nervous. I was always so nervous.
It's like, I think the biggest thing that I felt that like gave me peace of mind when I joined tour. Well, we joined tour almost at the same time, but like when
you were like a month. You got there like a month before me.
Yeah. I just knew that all of a sudden there were young people and people of all generations that were potentially listening to or watching my social media in a different way than they had before. I don't even know. I think I had Instagram before I joined tour, but it was very not used. There's like a couple things on it.
I will never forget that day. It was like, it was so surreal. I just joined tour, and our friend Kate Davis, who we mentioned, I was replacing her as the alternate Christine, and she posted a picture of the two of us together. And the next morning, my Instagram was private. It was just me and like my friends from college and whatever. Right. And the next day, it was like follow requests, like this huge list of follow requests. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing I think this is part of the job.
Yeah. Yeah. But something that like, right. So when I joined, it wasn't a big thing, but then it was like, okay, how can I use this? I had an acting coach recently equate artists to anarchists in the sense that, all people listen and watch us, right? Even to a certain, like we're not Jennifer Lawrence, Hugh Jackman, Chadwick Boseman, Oprah Winfrey. We're not there, but there are people that watch our Instagram, and so what can we say with that responsibility? What can we talk about with it? So that was the thing that gave me some peace of mind, was like, okay, I'm going to talk about composting. I'm going to talk about some human rights stuff. I'm going to talk about mental health and stuff that I've experienced. And then, if I want to post a picture of this character that has given me the opportunity to talk about these other things, then I'll do that for the bigger picture. That was the thing that made me feel better about it, and continues to make me feel better about it. It's like, this is a bigger purpose than just this shot of me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's a really good way to look at it.
And then of course, there's the part that's like, I like this picture of me. I want to show it to the world. There's that too. I'm not saying like my only reason I'm on Instagram is to change the world, but like that was a big thing that made me feel better about the general dynamic of the social media.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I wish that's something I like didn't what if I could have been Eva's apprentice, I would have.
We talked about that. I mean, we talked about that. That was you're so funny. No, we like, but I remember
that's a good example though of what you're so good at, is like that marriage of like being very clear of purpose and also inviting in like those more vulnerable elements of yourself that you're just like so ace at.
It's only been in the last, like, I feel like in the last 2-3 years, I have grown and changed so much as a person. I don't even recognize myself anymore. Like, but I think a lot of that is because of you, Emma. And like, because, no, but I'm not, but like the connection that you and I had on tour was one that not only like was supportive and encouraging and all that, but also like promoted change
Personal
and
growth.
personal growth. 100%. We like, you know, the conversations that Emma and I have are not surface level stuff. Like, it's like, what are those really gross parts about yourself? Let's put them out in front of this friend and dissect them, like the yuckiest, not nice things.
Yeah.
And so like, I feel like as I have learned more about myself through that process and just, you know, time and growing, it's like I'm like excited about the discoveries, and so therefore I know that I want to say them. Like, there's certain things that I still am not comfortable talking about online that I wish I was, but you know, slowly but surely, because I think it is helpful. Like, I know that when I see other people talk about it, it does make me feel better in certain ways, you know, like to know that you're not alone in whatever that is.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll graduate to curse words.
What? Maybe one day.
Maybe one day we'll get brave enough.
Maybe one day, I know. What Tony says, do you find that people are less decisive on Instagram versus Facebook? What do you mean by that, Tony? Explain more.
Decisive. Divisive is a word that
Decisive,
sounds like
what is that?
decisive. And I feel like people are more divisive on Facebook than on Instagram. There's sort of
it depends on what Instagram page you look on.
That's true. That's very true. I feel like I've encountered more of it on Facebook. One of the reasons I just, you know, took the app off my phone. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But it definitely still happens, you know, on both of them. Instagram is a Facebook company, after all.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, all my web skepticism is coming out tonight.
Yeah. I did a deep dive on the Hallmark Instagram page recently.
Because wait,
I guess we can say,
can I say?
Yeah, sure. Autocorrect. Tony, we got you. Emma's the word woman. She got you.
Aha.
Yeah, there you are.
But yes, the Eva may or may not be appearing in several Hallmark films. It's very exciting for me. I cannot wait.
Ooh, I'm like low key a little terrified. Yeah. So, anyways, but that's such an interesting thing because Hallmark is going through a huge change, which is high time. You know, they're being more inclusive in their casting. They're being more diverse, and some fans are not having it.
Wow.
And that is so stinking interesting. So if you go into their Instagram page, there is some divisive stuff going on there, and it is very interesting. But I'm so glad because high time, as I said. Like,
conversation needs to happen.
Exactly.
Interesting. That's, I mean, when Tony posted that, for me at least, and yeah, like you said, Eva, maybe it depends on what pages on Instagram you go to.
Yeah.
I just know that because of Facebook being able to post links and post videos and everything so instantly, and you can have long dissertations about things, that I just seem to get inundated with it more there than I do on Instagram. That's why I kind of tend to gravitate towards Instagram. But I see your point though. Like, if you're posting things like in your stories constantly, and also in your on your own page, here's a weird aside. I'm such a dinosaur that like in stories on Instagram, when someone will say new post, for the longest time, I actually thought, well, that means there's a post coming, like a slide coming, not meaning that they posted something that you're supposed to look at, on their page. I just realized that like 2 weeks ago, like, oh, so that means like look at your feed
look at
or whatever.
The thing, right?
I was like,
look at the thing they posted.
Yeah, they need to take this away from me.
You're doing great, Mark. You're doing great.
Oh my God.
Whenever I want to feel like a dinosaur, I just open TikTok and I say, I don't know. I don't
even have TikTok, Emma.
I downloaded the app just to see, and now I'm like, I've never felt older ever. I'm just like, I don't know what anybody's talking about. This is so weird.
There is some good stuff on there as far as like there's some information stuff that's good, like these quick bites of information. But
I just
there's
send
a
it
lot.
to my cousin who's a Gen Z like person, and I just say, what's going on? Can you tell me what's happening?
Can you please explain? I don't have TikTok. I don't feel bad. No, neither do I. I also don't have it. Nope.
More feedback on IG. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
I still run a Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but I never use it because it's just drama all over it. And I'm just
so
I never did Twitter. I stayed away from Twitter. I've never done it. Too scared. Can't do it.
Get it before Sunday, he says. I do have a Twitter account, but I don't think I've looked at it in years and years and years. I do have a friend of mine who is religious about Twitter, but some days he'll get up and look at a Twitter conversation or whatever, a feed, and be depressed for the rest of the day. Like it's so rough, and it can really get you down. And I don't know. Yeah. What is a Twitch? I still don't understand what Twitch is. What's Twitch?
So Twitch is it started off.
We're on Twitch right now, right?
Yeah.
We are. I don't understand.
So when Twitch started, most of the people that were into video games and gaming, they're using it to play, and then people were actually being interactive with them. But then what's happened is that it's become pretty much like a haven for people that are tired of, say, Facebook or YouTube, to use that platform to do something similar. So that's why Alice kind of started with Twitch. I don't know for sure, but that's my guess is why they started there. And then sometimes they would send out the feed to Facebook and YouTube, but they were saying, if you want to see it in real time, always go to Twitch. The only reason I knew about Twitch is because I used to work at a high-tech college that basically produced video game people. And so every college student that I had working for me had a Twitch account. And I'm like, I said the same question like about 4 years ago. What is Twitch? And so, come on, Mark, I'll show you. They have their headsets on and their mics and everything. I'm playing this game. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm out.
I'm out.
I don't do that kind of thing. Like Captain Black was, Alice kicked ass on Twitch day one. So a lot of these guys also have their Twitch channels as well. And it's become just another platform to be used. And I know a couple of people that work for Twitch as well. So it's just, I think their issue is going to be, in a general sense, for people that aren't gamers like myself, is how do you get past that from a PR standpoint? Because most people think, isn't that, if they've heard of it, they think, isn't that for gamers? And it's kind of been ingrained because that was their focus early on.
Right.
But not so much now. So
interesting. The more you know.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I can't imagine what's like being like a young person in this day and age because of social media, and or like parents of young people, like how you're trying to monitor them, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree.
Simon and I were just talking about how, like, I feel like even and I are the same age, and I feel like we really got in we were like the last social media free childhood, because MySpace and Facebook and like all that stuff showed up in like
Nexopia,
late middle school, early high school. You weren't putting your whole personality on the internet yet, so we got, it wasn't like something you needed to do when you were 10, 11 years old, the way that some kids have TikToks now, and it's like, I feel like it's a real blessing. Obviously, like, as time goes on, it'll just make me more of a dinosaur. But it's interesting to think about the fact that, like, kids that are in college today were like babies, elementary schoolers, when MySpace and Facebook and all those big social media trailblazers hit the scene. So they've been, their whole life has looked like that. Their baby pictures were probably on.
Right.
Like, think about all the parents who are posting their baby pictures. And then I think about my own baby pictures, literally in a shoebox in that closet. Like, I would have to physically sort through them. My parents weren't putting them on the internet. Like, how strange that must feel to have your whole childhood sort of publicized. But yeah, that I think we were the last ones, because then after us, it had showed up in such a major way.
Yeah. No, my baby pictures aren't online by my parents. I think I might have posted a couple of funny pictures of myself, but then there's that whole movement of parents that are like, I am not posting pictures of my children because it's not, they didn't consent to that. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
I get it. Yeah, that I
That's
totally
fair.
get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we had to be mindful of that kind of thing when I was, again, at the high tech college,
Oh,
because
sure.
and we had, like, in the summertime, there would be 2-week sessions. And so any given 2 weeks, you'd have 800 students from literally around the world for our workshops. And so we could never assume that everyone's okay with their picture being taken to use for social media purposes or to go on our website or something like that. Oh, well, everyone does. It's like, not everybody wants that. They want their privacy.
Right.
They want to have their say of what happens with their child, or even their picture, because the parents would all come on campus for the last day of stuff. And some of our team members didn't understand that, but they're also the younger folks. And I'm like, no, understand it from me. I'm the old person. Let me tell you.
Right.
Some people don't want they don't want all their shit out there. They want to
Right.
keep it private, and that's their right. So you have to respect that.
Yeah.
But then they look at me like, "Gosh, Mark." I'm like,
Good night.
okay, I guess I really am getting old.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, let's see here. How we doing on time? Everybody okay? Because it's at we hit 90
Emma's
minutes.
getting late over there. How you doing?
It's 10:30 my time. I'm good. I'm hanging. I'm hanging.
Okay,
We're
cool.
good.
All right, then we keep rolling then. I'll ask this one because everyone has a different rookie hours. We're good. Well, Captain Blackwood, you're in Vegas, so all of us on the West Coast were good.
Wow.
Who was your childhood actor or actress crush?
Oh,
Okay, go for it, Emma. I have to think about it.
it was I was a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan,
Right.
and so like Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom really sort of led the charge. There was
Yeah.
it's so funny being home in my parents. This is not where I grew up, but this is where my parents live. So all my childhood stuff is here, and I just found a box in the closet that was marked like Emma's keepsakes. And I opened it up, and some of it was ridiculous. Like there was a shoebox with like bouncy balls in it. I was like, why is this been kept for so many years? Like a pair of silly sunglasses. But then there was a binder. I think I used it for schoolwork or something, and I flipped through it, and there was like a folder stuck in the back, and I moved the folder out of the way, and just like a mountain of pictures of Orlando Bloom and Johnny Depp that I had printed. Like I literally just printed the Google image page and cut them out with scissors and taped them up, because my parents, I think I've told you, Mark, both my parents are opera singers, and so I traveled a lot with them when I was a kid. And so I would take, similar to when we were on the road, I would just take stuff with me that made wherever we were staying feel like home. And there was a long window there where that included a bunch of pictures of Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom.
Oh my gosh. You were so good at that on tour. Everything. Why didn't I say this earlier? Emma is like the most organized human alive. Like she has like everything is like all in its proper place at all times. And so like when
you can call it organization, you can call it a coping mechanism.
Anyways, I benefited from that. I have in some very small ways gotten better, but overall I'm a hot mess in comparison.
There should have been cameras rolling at certain points on
tour. Oh my god.
Like when we drove from
Nope. No.
When we drove from Dallas, Oklahoma City, and there was just like I've never seen one person have more bags.
No.
Like it was, and the best part was that she would sort of try to trick you into thinking that she had fewer bags, just because she would like lasso a tote bag onto a backpack and be like, aha, it's just one, but it's actually 3 different bags. Oh man, that was
so bad.
But it was so fun.
Oh, I don't know if it was fun.
You need it. Like there were times when I was like, man, I wish I had this, or this, and you were like, oh, I've got one, and you would rifle through your bags and find it.
I mean, again, I think that is a really good indicator of like a control mechanism, coping mechanism of like, I need to know that I have all of the things, because if I need the thing, I need the thing. And if I don't have the thing, then someone might die. Like this is where my brain goes. Honestly, the Orlando Bloom thing was big for me as well. I Yeah, and in Lord of the Rings as well. Viggo Mortensen was also pretty big for me, but I wasn't the kid that put up people's faces on my walls. But like I did have a bit of a crush on John Cleese because I thought he was hysterical. But I grew up like watching like Fawlty Towers and Monty Python, which was highly inappropriate for children. But British
I totally
mother.
get that. There's something very charming about him.
Yeah,
Beyond
and
his
Eric
comedy.
Idle. Eric Idle.
Wait, are you telling me that your childhood crush is Eric Idle?
I'm not. Well, I guess I'm attracted to the funny people. I guess
I get that. That was Jim Carrey and Pierce Brosnan were my like A#1. I was in like first grade and I was like, them.
Yeah, okay. Pierce, I was 14 when I saw it. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was definitely
Holy
like
Grail is so
7
good.
or 8. I was very young. But okay, this is again, I guess I have a strange thing. But oh man, what's his name? He was Indiana Jones, okay, Harrison Ford. But who played his dad in the final Frontier?
Sean Connery?
Sean
Connery. Okay. I love him. I think I grew up also watching. Thank you, Captain Blackwood's on it. I definitely grew up watching all of the old James Bonds as well. So like him in. I mean, you can't. He's just so classy. Is this really classy. Weird? But I wasn't like obsessed with like the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. I
was obsessed with the Backstreet Boys.
I wanted the classy British gentleman, I guess. Classy, funny British general. If you know
this is all making sense to me.
This is yeah. And I mean, Tim Curry, you know, Clue. You can't go wrong. That's how I feel. Benedict. I mean, if you ask me my crushes now, it's like Benedict Cumberbatch. And like, you know, James McAvoy. Again,
Mike Fassbender.
Not Sam Claflin, but Sam Claflin. Yep.
Andrew Scott, the guy from Fleabag.
Yeah. Andrew Scott, also Moriarty and Sherlock. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Sorry, there we go, and there it is. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it makes sense with Sean Connery though, because even like I forget the gal that played the secretary, but she was saying that when there was Sean Connery and Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan, that Sean was the one that she would want to F, and then Roger's the one she'd want to marry, and then Pierce was the one she would kill. Actually,
I mean,
Pierce. I love Pierce.
Hold on. I mean, like, really?
Yeah.
Look at this man.
Mm-hmm.
And his voice is just like unlike anything else. Ugh, I can't. Anyways, there we go.
There you go. And then anyone that's seen, I've actually asked that question before on a different fun table, and so they know that my answer was Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, sure.
In Greece?
Yeah. I mean,
she's so gorgeous.
Yeah, stunning.
Super cute. And then I also mentioned that in 2017, I was fortunate enough to actually meet her. And so, you know, some of those childhood memories were kind of going through my head a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie about that. As they're walking us down to meet her after the show. And the whole story with that was that I was supposed to meet her sometime, not to do an interview or anything, just to say hello and all that kind of thing. And then they brought us down there with the friends and family of hers. So
wow.
There was like 8 people that hadn't seen her in a long time that live in the area here in Seattle or came from Portland and drove up or whatever. So they're having all these reunion moments. And then there's my mom and I, and she's kind of like, who are those people?
Oh no.
Yeah, and once I explained to her that I knew her publicist manager, that's when she relaxed. Oh, how do you know Michael and all this kind of thing? But so we just we said our pleasantries, got a picture real quick, and I just made sure we got out of there because I didn't want to be awkward or make her feel even more like, yeah, that's kind of weird. But she was super nice, super generous. Even when she didn't know who we were yet, she still took a picture with us and that kind of thing. And so it was weird to have all these, again, from like, I guess I'm totally dating myself, from like 1977 or whenever Grease came out, all the way to 2017, that here she is.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
Sandy right in front of you. And luckily,
Phew. Goodness.
Bless you.
bless you.
Goodness, it's the smoke.
Luckily,
Go
luckily, it
ahead,
was one,
sorry.
I was going to say, luckily, it was one of those encounters where it was fine to meet one of my idols.
Right.
Because it was a
That's
positive
great.
experience. And, you always hear those things about never meet your heroes or whatever. And that's not the case with her. So.
Hey Emma, when you met what's his name?
James McAvoy?
Rufus Frank Wainwright.
Oh yeah, you were with me when I met Rufus Wainwright. That was a big moment for me.
Didn't you read
I
him twice
love
though?
Rufus Wainwright. No, that was the
Oh,
only
that was
time.
the only time. Okay, sorry,
Mhm.
I'm misremembering.
I love him. Singer-songwriter Rufus Wainwright.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's so funny. I can't remember if I told you this, Eva, but I looked back through some of my old like beginnings of tour journals, and I had sort of manifested like, you're gonna meet Rufus Wainwright.
Oh,
You guys are gonna be best friends.
Look
And then
at
I thought, I was like,
you.
I did meet Rufus Wainwright. We're not best friends yet, but I did meet him.
We're almost there. Not quite.
We were in LA for the show, for the tour, and we were having lunch, and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, it's him. I have to go talk to him. And I usually don't. Like if I saw Tina Fey, who I adore, I saw her on the street in New York, and we like locked eyes for a second, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't like stop her day and
Yeah.
say, hi, I just, because I was scared that she would be, busy and not want to talk to me, and then that I'd have that memory and she'd have her day ruined. And anyway,
Well, not ruined, but okay.
well, just slightly inconvenienced.
Sure. There we go.
But when I saw Rufus, I was like, I have to go talk to him. And so Eva and my boyfriend Simon were sort of watching from the table and trying to take sneaky pictures of me. And I spoke to him for a minute. I blacked out, can't really remember what I said. And it was lovely, and it was a very, very exciting day. That was a cool day.
I think I always when I was in New York, you have that moment of like, is it right for me to run up to this person? Because it's also a compliment, but then they're also doing something else, and like you don't want to be a crazy person. But like I saw Dan Stevens on the road in New York, just after I had seen him in this amazing play called The Hangman. And I desperately wanted to talk to him because he was so good in that play. So good. Better than anything I'd seen him do on film. I was just like totally blown away. And he was walking down the street in a huge orange coat. Like you could not miss him. And it was like a sunny spring day in New York. And he walked past me, and it was just as he was passing me, did I clock these like steely blue eyes. And I literally stopped on the road and was like, do I do what I want to do right now? Like I could go back. He's just right there. And then I'm literally standing watching his back. And I'm like, my moment is leaving me. I can see it. It's not getting better. Nope. No, now it's too far. Is it too far? It's too far. Okay. So now I have to let that go. And I remember calling my friend, Kate, a different Kate, being like, what am I doing? Why didn't I say that? But then again, maybe it would have inconvenienced his day. But
Right.
it would have made mine.
Oh man. Have I ever told you my James McAvoy story?
No.
I was in London. I was 18, 19. And I had bought a ticket I was going to see a play at the Old Vic. And he was in line. The play was, I was running a little bit late. And so curtain was coming, and we were coming up on it. Not a lot of people in line to buy tickets. And I saw him over there going to that cashier, and I was going to this cashier, and I bought the ticket, and I was walking to my seat, and he was behind me. And I was like, oh my God, James McAvoy's walking behind me. What do I do? What do I do? I have to try to talk to him. And so I dropped my jacket on purpose because I was like, oh, he'll stop and pick it up. And then we can have a little like, oh, whatever. Like,
no.
Oh, thank you. And he'd say in his charming accent, oh, I think you dropped this. And I'd have a great story. And so I dropped the jacket and then immediately panicked and went to pick it up myself, but so abruptly that he crashed into me.
No! Emma, you have not told me this story. What?
And then I was like, sorry. And he was like, oh, sorry. And that was the whole interaction.
Oh my God, that's such a good story.
It was almost better than if we had had a real exchange.
It's just the whole like you planning it out, and then the thing actually worked, but then the execution was no.
Didn't do it because I realized like I
That's
would have
so
had to like
good.
throw it into his way, so I just dropped it in front of myself, and I was like, "Ah, this is dumb," and I went to pick it up, and then he crashed into me.
But then he did. Aw, well, sweet man. At
I
least
know,
he
very
tried.
kind.
Very kind. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh, wow. You know, not to be negative, but have you had an encounter with somebody that maybe kind of disappointed you, the other side of this conversation?
Oh, a little bit, but I don't want to say their name out loud.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone honestly, it informed a lot of how I approached stage dooring on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was a teenager, I went to see him play, and there was like a name movie star in the play. But this sounds shady, not like Stop Traffic name movie star. This
Sure,
is like,
that's fine.
if you know the things he's been in, then you know him.
Right.
And he was in the play, and there were like maybe 12 people waiting at the stage door. Very small crowd as far as stage doors go. And all of his castmates came out and very generously signed playbills, one of which was Tony Shalhoub, just like the coolest guy. So great.
Again,
and
crush.
very kind.
Totally.
So,
Love
oh
him.
yeah, he's the best.
Ugh.
And then this guy came out of the stage door, and like very rudely blew past all of us and got into his car.
Wow.
And there were not very many of us, and I had this feeling even then of like, if 12 people telling you did a great job is the worst part of your day, then something is really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And like that on tour, when you come out of the theater and you are exhausted and you're sweaty and you're so hungry that you could eat like anything.
Snacks.
And maybe it went weird, and maybe it, wasn't your favorite show, or maybe it was fine, who knows? You do so many. Take the time, because like what they, it costs you very little to actually get to meet the people that you just spent 2.5 hours with, and that was one of my favorite parts of that experience, because it can be such a lonely feeling up there, like spilling your guts out for everybody to see, and then you just go home by yourself. So when you do stage door and there are people at the stage door, it's like, hey, we just went through this crazy thing together. How nice to actually get to meet you face to face. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we had similar experiences that way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I had one less than favorable interaction with a pretty big name. Emma, I feel like you were there that night. Yeah, I feel like you were there that night. It was in LA.
Oh, I was not there that night.
Oh,
but
you
I
were
know
not. Well, right. Yes. And it was just, I won't go into details. It wasn't like devastatingly negative, but it was just kind of like, it was just, again, kind of what you were saying, Emma, of like reinforcing how you want to behave as someone who is a star or someone in the public eye. Like, you just want to, as best you can, keep that open, loving, welcoming, and as best you can, not like demeaning or condemning or condescending thing. It just was like a strange experience. Like, to boil it down, was basically like someone else who is a pretty big star in their own right, but isn't doing your job, telling you how you should do your job, or one's in this kind of very strange.
I forgot about that part of the story. That
very
was
strange,
crazy.
Yeah, and not specifics, but just kind of like, well, this is how it's done. It's like, well, but are you working on this thing that we're doing? Like, no, that's different. So very, very strange.
Wow. I can only think of not like arts people, but I remember going to a signing for charity for baseball for the Seattle Mariners. And so
Go Mariners!
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
I love the Mariners.
You know that it's a public event. It's for charity. It's not like I caught you on the way in the airport or at a restaurant. you know you have to be there, and people are paying money for this that help the charity out. And I'm not going to name his name, but he was one of my favorite ball players at the time on the Mariners, and he could not be bothered to look at you, to say anything to you. He was talking to his teammate next to him, and it wasn't just me; it was everybody that came through the line. He was just like, "It's like, why are you even here? I mean, you might as well just stay home and sleep in or whatever you need to do," because all the other guys were great. They're talking to you, shaking your hand, whatever you want to ask them for your 15 seconds or something. But that guy, I will never forget. That's like, I wanted to actually say something to him, but I was like, that's not my place. Maybe he's having a bad day, or maybe that's how he always is. I don't know, but it did stick with me. It's like, man, when all the other folks, and I'd met probably 30 ball players at that point, and all 29 of them were great.
Right.
You're the one that's not. So I think there's just something up with you.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And I'm not obviously to the extent of what both of you have dealt with, being on tour and stage doors and that kind of thing. But I do remember, so I was the guitar playing teacher in my building. I was the one where the kids could hear Metallica riffs coming from this room, and they're like, what is that? I'd play at the pep assemblies and all that kind of stuff. So when we would have, what do they call that thing? Field day in June. Field year. You get your yearbook, and you get your friends to sign it. Have a good summer, all that kind of stuff. I'm not kidding you. My second year there, I literally had a line of kids wanting me to sign their
That's so cute.
You were the cool teacher.
You were the cool teacher.
Yeah, and it just took me by surprise, because I'm like, I don't even know these kids. I don't know who they are. They're not in my classes. I don't recognize your face, but obviously I was going to be nice to them and sign my name and have a good summer or something like that. But if it's a kid I knew, I spent more time with it. I wrote more in there. But I went through all of them, and I remember one of the teachers came by and was like, Mark, you're famous, or what? I'm like, I don't know why.
That's so funny. You do fun things.
Well, yeah. So that would be my small, taste of that, other than being a concert photographer and being in the photo pit. So sometimes you see the same fans, and they think if they get to know you, then somehow you can get them backstage, or you can get them to know the band. It's like, hey man, if a pick drops down here, it's yours, but I can't get you back there. I mean, I can't get back there. It's not going to happen. So So just kind of understand, I'm here to do a job, and then I'm a fan just like you are. So, but you'll get the old tap on the shoulder. Hey buddy, can you do this? Can you do that? It's like, I can't.
Right.
I can't do any of that. And I just go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's so interesting. Just what you're talking about, like the people that are surrounding the person that everyone's there for. I remember I went to see Jessie J in concert live, and she's incredible. And she's also a really amazing performer in the sense that she's very open. Like, she talks really openly about everything. And even the concert felt like an emotional experience, because she was really, like, she was connecting with people. She was, encouraging everyone to stay off their phones and just like be there in the moment with her. It was just a really cool experience. But I remember after the show, there was again like 10 or 11 of us, and her people were like coming in and out, and like people that were, security or members of the band or whatever. And everyone's like, is she coming? Is she coming? It's like, don't look at me. Like, we're doing our own thing. And I remember her coming out, and Emma, you'll identify with this, of like, and she was basically like, it's very cold outside. My voice is very precious. I need to basically sign and be close to you very quickly, and then go to the next gig that I now have to like, fly to, or whatever the heck. She's in a tour bus, I think. But I remember, like, it's just such an interesting dynamic when people come out, right? It's like the flurry of like all the people that are involved in putting on the show. And then it's like the performer, and it's that fine line of like preserving yourself so you can keep doing your job, and then also connecting with the fans. And then people get very pushy, right? Like they get very like, they feel like it's their right to be super close with you. And that's what I witnessed with her as well, of like this woman who's like really trying to do her best to keep herself healthy and safe during this tour. And then like people literally like pushing, and I just stood back because I was like, I know what this is. I'm not, we're not doing that. But like, just so interesting to see that dynamic of like, it's my right to now get a picture with you. And I always struggled with that concept of like, I just want a picture with this person. It's like, of course, that's very cool. But what I really want is like a sit down chat with you. Like, I want to know I want to know what it is to do what you do. The picture is like kind of irrelevant to me. I would rather have a conversation and like know what's going on. But it's like, and it's that funny thing of like, I just want the picture and then I'm going to run away. Like, I don't want to actually talk to you. And it's like, bless.
That's like a strange, also though, at least at our sort of tier of what we were doing, I oftentimes found that conversation would then happen on Instagram.
Sure.
Once they had posted the picture, they would post the picture, tag you in it, or send you a message or whatever it was. And they'll be like, I was the one at the stage door in the costume that I made at home.
Yes.
And I was like, I remember you. And then you could actually sort of have this little like one-on-one moment that maybe we didn't have time for in person. But and that entitlement thing was strange too. I found that oftentimes, at least with our stage door experiences, that was usually the exception rather than the rule of somebody being like, can you sign this? Can you sign this? And you're like, I really just want to go home, but I'll do it, you know?
Yes, absolutely, we will. Does someone have a pen? Does someone have a pen? Anyone have a pen? Who has a pen? It is very interesting. You're right, though. I mean, there's some fans that I still talk to almost every few days, like people that keep in touch, like they want, and there's that certain level of like, there's my boundaries of like how much I can connect with you, but there's some of these young girls, right? It's like you kind of feel like, you know, there's this one young girl, she had just left high school right before the pandemic. She was going to go and do university and move out of her home, and she's one of a quintuplet, I think. She's and she was like gonna leave her family home and go and like do this big thing, which is to move out and to like start college and do all these things. And she was so nervous. And so we had these big chats about that. And then all of this stuff hit. And then she's like, I can't go anywhere, but I still think I need this change. I'm like, so, you know, we have those conversations that it's so interesting that, and a real gift too, to be able to say like, I hope that that's helpful to somebody and they're connecting with you because of this amazing show. You know, it's such an interesting thing. And Emma, I know you've had that too, people reaching out to you and like chit-chatting about life, right? People, especially in this time, not to feel so alone.
Yeah, man, reaching out is the name of the game right now. It's sort of the only thing we have.
So, hi. What is this? Well, we're sitting around and chatting about life.
It's the fun table.
It's the fun table.
Yeah, we're trying to have fun on a Friday night.
That's right.
And even when you're talking about Jessie J, I covered her show in 2018. I think it's the exact same tour you're talking about.
Yes.
The Roses.
Yes. The Rose tour. Yeah.
So when she was here in Seattle, it was like, I want to say like October of 2018 or something along those lines. And so I got to be in the photo pit with a few of the fellow photographers that I know. And just like you said, she was just pouring her soul out in between songs about everything she'd been through and mental health things. And it was like therapy in a way, in front of, you know, 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And I didn't stick around to meet her afterward, but I did see a group that were by her tour bus. And then I saw at least maybe 3 photos that people had gotten with her really quick, you know, like in the dark, and they didn't use a flash or anything, so you can't really make out anything. But everything you said rings completely true with how her gig was down here.
Oh yeah, she was talking about what was it, like fertility stuff, babies, and mental health stuff, and you know, losing a partner. I mean, she literally, nothing was not game. That's something I really, really respect about her. And then she sings like no one else, really. Kind of amazing.
Yeah, her voice is just like, I mean, the lungs on her.
Whoosh.
Yeah, and it's weird for me because like down here at least, I'm a metal guy, so some of the metal photographers, obviously they know me, and then there's pop stuff that they cover, and you know, other it could be country or folk or classical or opera or whatever.
Yep.
And so like at her show, I was with photographers that I think I'd maybe seen once. So then the other guys saw, like, if I checked in on Facebook, we talk about social media or something, and they're like, Mark, what were you doing at that show? I said, have you heard her sing?
Yeah, right.
She's amazing. And then
Yeah.
once I saw the show and saw how open she was with,
Yeah.
you know, the things she's gone through, that just upped it in terms of, you know, how
Mhm.
much I appreciate and respected what she did and does.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, and again, I'm just the little peon in that chain of people. But yeah, even I get those kind of things. I'll get messages sometimes about, can you get me into the show? Can you get me on the guest list? Can you do this for me? And it's like, no, that's not how this that's not how this
No.
works. Yeah.
One of the on tour once, Eva got a message saying, my daughter really loved.
Oh, right.
Remember, she said my daughter really loved the dress you wore at the beginning of Act 2, and she wants to wear it to homecoming. Do you have any others laying around? And Eva had to be like, that dress cost like $35,000 to make. Like, no, we don't have any extras.
Yeah, that was the thing. Do you have an extra? I'm sure you have an extra. Can I buy it off you? And I was like, what do you think this is? What's happening?
No extras.
I mean, I also like kind of applaud the balls on that woman to actually.
I know. Hey, if you never know if you don't ask, right? Maybe you could get.
Listen, I don't blame
dress.
her. I don't blame her. She's just trying to do something nice for her daughter. I get it, but like, find a pattern and make it yourself. Oh my gosh, so funny. That killed me. I totally forgot about that, Emma.
That was Springfield too. That was when we were.
That was also Springfield. Springfield was very, very eventful. There was much that happened.
It was.
Yep.
It was always the
Missouri,
smaller
hello.
cities. Like the smaller cities always had all the bigger stories because in the big
That's
cities
true.
people would keep themselves busy, like sightseeing, and then in the small cities you'd be like, "You will not believe the crazy thing that happened to me." Right?
Oh yeah, that's true. We always talk. Emma and I always talk about Kalamazoo, Michigan. Hello.
Yeah, that was
Kalamazoo.
one of our faves.
Favorite places.
Favorite. It was so funny because that was when we were like, man, I don't know anything about Kalamazoo. And then we got a great lake house in the middle of the winter and everything was covered with snow.
And we had a truck.
It was magical. We had a truck. We ate a lot of soup.
We ate a lot of soup.
Ate a lot of soup.
We are like our own Hallmark movie, minus the truck, I think. Actually, no, that could work.
There's usually someone with a truck.
That's true. That's true. That works too. Yeah. It's that was a lot of fun. It's like the tour memory, we were talking about that. It's like peppered with those like brilliant moments and then also the tough stuff of like getting through the show. when you're not feeling well or something.
When you have nothing left. Yeah.
Yes, we said Hallmark. We said it.
Yeah. I'm guessing that Antonio might be somebody that saw my Warning interview, which is a band from Mexico. So some people that are following my page came to it because of that particular interview and that band, and so they're probably completely lost about what's going on.
What's happening? Talk about music.
Yeah.
We're talking about music.
We are, yeah. So if you don't like it, there's plenty of other things you can check out, if you want. So
I love it, Mark. You're on it.
It's up to you. I mean, I was a teacher, so I know how to put people in their place if I teach it.
I love it.
This is my show. But yeah, you know what? This would be a perfect time for those that are watching to give. I almost forgot to give away. Sorry, Well Go USA. I have not forgotten you. That I do have the Blu-ray to give away. There's a couple things to say. It's U.S. residents only, so Canadian folks that know even, sorry. And no family, so anyone that knows me cannot try to enter this. I do have some family members that I know are watching this right now because they're a huge fan of the opera fans. So, and that's basically it. So I'm just going to ask a really basic question. So like Captain Blackwood, yeah, so you're in here, and I think I'm the only one watching. Yeah, it's real funny. But so here's the question. If you want to win the Blu-ray and have it sent to you, then the question is, where is Eva Tavares located? Not the city, just the country. And the first answer that's correct that I see, it doesn't matter if the spelling's right or wrong, you're going to win this Invincible Dragon Blu-ray from Well Go USA. And I'm going to keep looking at it as we go. Yeah, so like when I gave one away before, it was a guest that was in New Zealand, so I did something similar. So I made it, I don't like those contests where you have to like, think and dig through a bunch of stuff to figure out,
Right.
and then write like a paragraph about why you want this kind of thing,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And if nobody gets it right, then I'm just going to hang on to it, and it's going to be given away next week. So hey,
Nice.
any which way somebody's going to get it, and it's brand spanking new. It doesn't hit the streets until October 6th. So you'll be the cool kid on the block. You'll have it in advance before anyone else gets a chance to actually see the official version. So there you go.
Love it.
But when you're talking about the stage door, I have actually never gone and waited by a stage door, and it's almost because, well, depending on who I'm with, they want to leave. They don't want to stay outside with me, depending on the time of year or whatever. But did you ever have one where you're like, because you weren't feeling well, or because of some legitimate reason, you're like, you know what, I have to kind of do a couple autographs or whatever, and then I gotta go?
I think I did them all every time. I think I did everybody that was there that was asking. I don't think I mean, there were a couple times where I really didn't feel up to it. But I just had that experience in the back of my head of that guy like blowing us off. And I was like, if this goes well for somebody, it's something they'll remember for a really long time. So I usually did it. I don't think I ever skipped stage door all the way.
The only time that happened was more like if I had someone coming to the show, if I had family or something, I'd like try to do like half of them do as many as I could, and then they would come and I'd be like, I'm coming back, and then I'd come back and sometimes not everyone was there or something like that. But
there were times where like if we had 2 shows, I might stay inside and not come out. And
because that's what you have to do when you have 2 shows in a day. That's really tough. Yeah.
Usually the only space to lay down in the dressing room is underneath all your costumes. I used to like burrow under there and like watch Netflix on my phone and take a nap.
Oh my gosh.
Get out and do another show.
Yeah. So no, never intentionally.
Yeah.
Even there, I think there was a couple times when I was like ill. And I was like, I can't shake your hand. I can't give you a hug, but like, let me just write this thing. You know what I mean? Like Derek, our phantom, was very cautious about that. And I remember there was one day we were in LA and there was a fan that was coughing quite profusely and then wanted a hug. And Derek's like, nope. And just kind of grabbed me and like hooked me over. It's like, if you get sick, I get sick. So we're not doing that. It's just like, okay.
That's great.
I love it.
That's probably where it's a little bit different. I'm thinking about the band Trans-Siberian Orchestra that tours during they do the Christmas shows, and so they always do a meet and greet after their last show. So if they do a 2-show day, then the last one they'll do the meet and greet on the concourse of the arena. And this is like back to like maybe 2004 or 5, and all those tours since. They make you do hand sanitizer. They have tables, so you cannot get pictures. That's the first thing they tell you. You know, have something signed. And they're just trying to keep everybody healthy, basically.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting that we're in this time now.
Yeah, right.
Where it's something similar. But yeah, I remember asking, or not asking, but there was a father and a son, and the son was probably like a teenager, that he was like adamant that he had to get a picture with one of the, and there's like 18 people in that show. There's a lot of them. And so he's like, well, you think they can just make an exception for me? You know, I'm such a huge fan. And they're like, no, you're not coming around the table. What if I just stand in front of the table and do one of those kind of things? And they're like, nope. And I still remember he got past his person, and then his dad like took a picture like really quickly of him, just kind of like not even a good picture. It's just like, so you're not even being respectful of what they asked.
Yeah, what's the point? They're humans. They're still humans. Like it's so silly.
Yeah, and that same young man I remember, because there was somebody who had family here, so he was not in the meet and greet, and he was getting upset about how come Jeff's not here. It's like, you're not entitled to, it's whoever can make the time to meet you. That just be happy about that.
Right.
He was like, no, now I'm missing somebody.
Oh my gosh, that's so silly.
Strange.
Yeah, all kinds of goofy things. Yeah, so I mean, again, I've only seen that from like a fan side or sometimes a media side. You guys actually being in it have seen it, for years in some cases. So, but let me ask something here. So no one's actually had the right answer. So someone next week's going to get a chance to to win this, which is fine. I haven't actually watched this. I haven't reviewed it yet, so I guess maybe I'll watch it.
There you go.
We had some interesting answers to this, which was, if you were a vegetable, what would you be and why?
Oh my gosh.
And not to put pressure on you, but the ladies always came up with really good answers, and the guys came up with like goofy guy answers that like had no thought.
Vegetable. Vegetable. Okay. Oh man. It's hard because I actually like fruit better than, I mean, I love vegetables, but like if I was to say, it would be easier for me to say fruit than vegetable. See, and then Emma's gonna kill this because she's the woman of words.
I don't know about that.
She's gonna come up with something. I'm just waiting for it.
Should we answer for each other again?
Oh, okay. You want to do that?
Yeah,
I might not say anything nice though, because I don't know.
We don't have to be profound. We can.
Okay, but you're always profound, Emma. This is the problem.
This won't be profound. I promise.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay. Okay, go.
I feel like you're like I feel like, and maybe this is the loophole.
I'm ready.
You tend towards fruit. Tomatoes
I do
are
tend
fruit.
towards fruit.
I feel like
This is
you're
true.
like an heirloom tomato. You're like it's beautiful and it has a bunch of different colors and there's no other tomato like it. And
that's pretty profound. Anyway, see, you ended up making it that way. I love a tomato. I love an heirloom tomato.
Oh my gosh! I just got nervous that you don't actually like tomatoes. Do you like tomatoes?
I do.
Okay, good.
I grow them.
So what if I just made her a vegetable she doesn't like?
No. My breakfast of choice, this is going to sound very strange. My breakfast of choice for the last few days has been tomatoes from the farm, plums from the farm, with cork cheese, which is like a raw cheese.
I love cork cheese.
You do? See, not many people know what that is. Pesto and 2 poached eggs.
What a whole thing that must be, but good.
Emma knows I have very strange tastes.
But it always works out. Most of the time it works out pretty well.
Sweet and salty. That's my thing. Sweet and salty. Anyways, if you were a vegetable, Emma, I have a feeling you'd be a carrot. Because
I was thinking carrot.
Were you? Oh, because I think there's like, when the carrot is in the ground, it runs very deep and it's very sturdy and grounded and like strong. And on the outside, you just see the like beautiful fan of the green, and it's very like just
lovely.
Just like feminine and beautiful. But then you pull it out and you realize it's like, it means business. It's a carrot.
I love this. I am a carrot.
I'm a carrot. Cuckoo, cuckoo. I love it.
That's great.
Wow.
I love it.
Some of the other answers we had from other guests, one guest said she would be an onion because of the layers
of
that
course.
you keep peeling.
Okay. Sure.
We had another gal that said she would be an asparagus because she's 6 foot tall and she loves green. So she said I would be an asparagus. But like the guys were saying things, I'd be a potato because I like to eat potatoes.
Oh my Lord.
And things like that. It was immediately about like what they like to eat. It had nothing to do with anything beyond the surface. And I think I said the same thing too, that I like to eat onions. So I didn't even think about the layer part until the other person said that.
That's very funny.
It's like, oh, that's a better answer. I'll go with what she said.
We're all about metaphors. Very important.
I love a metaphor.
Emma, what are you drinking? Antonia needs a recap.
Oh, drinking an old fashioned.
Dun dun dun.
All my ice is melted.
Oh, I was just gonna say that ice looks not like ice anymore.
No more ice.
No more ice.
Ice is gone.
Let me ask both of you this, that because sometimes the answer is a little bit more surprising. Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Always a good question.
Introvert with like practiced extroversion, but my tendency is definitely like inner circle. Let's all go inside and close the doors, watch a movie, sit on the couch. That's my happiest place. Other people, like, I'm not one who's like, where are we going on Friday night? I'm like, I'm going home.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say an aminosis. Like, I think I am an extrovert, but I also I'm not the person to like go out and need to be in a big group of people all the time. I do love a night at home with gluten-free cake and a movie.
Introversion, extroversion, very balanced.
Yeah. I'd say that's pretty. And especially when I get stressed, I get a little bit more introverted as far as I just want my people and I want to be alone. Like I want to not have to talk to anyone. I don't want to check my email. I don't want to like be in big groups. No. So I'd say it's a pretty even split. But I think when people meet me, they're like, oh, you're an extrovert. Pretty much.
There's a certain amount of extroversion, I think, in every performer.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Not necessarily that it's your happy, safe place, but that it is something that you seek out in some measure. But yeah, as far as like if I had to choose how to spend my time, like introversion, it's like, you know, all those silly memes that were going around at the beginning of the pandemic being like, oh, I am excellent at this lockdown thing. Like, this is exactly what I know how to do. I totally get that.
I wasn't fully excellent at the lockdown, but there was definitely moments of like, I do like just being at home and not having to rush anywhere. But then there was also the existential dread.
Oh yeah. Then the existential dread sets in and then nobody's good at lockdown.
Oopsies.
Yeah. I know some of the past guests had said it depended on the situation, that sometimes they can be extroverted if they know they're going on Saturday night or whatever, but typically they're more introverted. And I think that was kind of surprising to a lot of people, especially from performers. They can kind of assume that they're extroverted because they're on stage or they're performing. It's like, no, I mean, they're putting themselves out there at that moment, but then in their, you know, the other 22 hours of their life or whatever, they're kind of wanting to keep to themselves and kind of have their kind of thing. And somebody was asking me, well, Mark, you've been doing interviews since 2011 with Eclectic Arts. You must be somewhat extroverted. I'm like,
nah.
if you met me in high school, my nickname was Mr. Quiet. I didn't talk. So this came from my professional career as a teacher, where I had to put myself out there. It came from some of my other inner city jobs where you had to open up about yourself. And so all these little pieces kind of came and built into what I'm doing now, but it was not. So like if I had to teach a course on it, I really couldn't do it because there was all these different things that factored into how I ended up doing what I do now and the style that I do it in. The pandemic it probably took me maybe like about 3 weeks to a month because I was sick during the beginning of it. Some people don't know that I was sick actually for 6 weeks. And
oh my gosh! Did you have COVID or did you have something else?
See, that's the thing is that so back then, if you remember, at least down here in the U.S., if
you weren't testing,
if you're high risk, you know, over 65 and all these kind of things, then you might get a test. If you're like me, when I contacted the clinic because my breathing wasn't that bad, they would just say, "We'll monitor it, and if it gets worse, then you have to go through these procedures." And my breathing never got to a point where I couldn't breathe, so I was like, it kind of felt like. Well, actually, kind of like now with the smoke, it's kind of like heavy lung feeling. So I'm guessing that I probably had COVID is my guess because I've never been that sick for that long. Ever.
Wow.
And so that becomes a personal thing for me that when I see people that go the other way or, you know, think what they want to think, I'm like, you haven't dealt with this shit.
Right.
And if
absolutely.
If you went through what I went through, you might be singing a different tune, maybe. But it was just like I have no idea what my point was that I went off on that. But
I can't remember where we were in the conversation.
Oh, the beginning of quarantine and
there we go.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was just like once I got past that and started feeling more like myself again, then I was like, well, I'm already tired of being in here because I've been in here. And I had like friends and family like bringing me groceries and all that kind of stuff because I couldn't go out anywhere. And then once I felt good, I was like, man, I was so itching just to go out and do anything. But it's like, well, then the other part of my brain saying, well, be smart about this. You were just sick. you have a compromised immune system as it
Right.
is, so you shouldn't be going out. But it's like, but I really want to. And I'm one of those people that doesn't follow the rules a lot of the time.
Yeah, sure.
And luckily, I kind of had enough people around me that talk sense and was like, no, if you need something, let us know. We'll go get it for you. If you want to stand outside your door or whatever, that's fine. But you're not going anywhere, Mark.
Right.
And I didn't actually go into a grocery store till probably the end of May on my own.
Wow.
And so I'd only heard about all this stuff through social media and the news and about, wearing a mask and the different directions in the aisles and all that kind of stuff they had talked about. So it was weird walking in there and actually seeing it, saying, oh yeah, one direction down this aisle, and then seeing people not following it, just coming right to your face, and people not wearing masks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you deal with this stuff? Because I was really protected from it. I'd only heard about it.
Yeah.
And here we are again, almost October, and I'm still seeing it. I was just out, doing errands the other day, and it's like everyone was following along, and then one person came in, and they tried to give him something. He's like, no, I don't need that. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes out of your day or whatever to stick something on your face, and when you get out of here, you can take it off.
Yeah. No, people don't get it. There's some really shocking videos of people online right now getting, manhandled out of meeting. Like there was what was that one? He was quite a tall man who refused to wear the mask in like a school district meeting or something, and the cops came and said, like, please sir, like, put on your mask or we're gonna have to get you to leave. And he was like, you see what you're doing here? You're trying to control us, blah blah blah. It's like, no. No, that's not what's happening. But yeah, no, it's quite shocking, all of it, when you see that kind of stuff. My mom was also super sick at the beginning of all this. She had multiple and has had now multiple COVID tests, and they always came back negative. But you're hearing all this stuff about false negatives and positives and whatever.
I think she had it. She must have had it.
I know. I mean, she's still struggling with like she's got like masses in her lungs. So we'll see. We're still sorting it out. But yeah, it could just very well be like scar tissue from it, right?
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah. And I mean, we're still at the, the unknown stages in terms of people that have survived it, about the effects on their bodies. And we're hearing, different things about, lungs and hearts. And so it's like, you're not who you were prior to getting it. That's a fallacy. And so, well, at least it seems like most people in here are saying the same thing. Wear your mask.
Wear the mask, please.
Just wear the mask.
I think one thing that's kind of funny is that I know both of you aren't into horror or anything, but maybe you remember the Halloween series with Michael Myers and one of the classic slashers. So one of the actors that played him was Tyler Mane. He also played Sabretooth in the first X-Men film.
Oh.
He's 6'8", super tall guy, real nice. But yeah. So imagine that chasing you down with a knife or whatever. But at the end of
we did play opposite a 6'8" man for quite a while. Actually.
One of our phantoms was 6'8".
That's right.
And it was could be very scary.
Very scary.
When he wanted to be.
I remember that at the end of our interview that Tyler said, wear your damn mask. And that's when he was kind of like playing off the fact that as Michael Myers, he wears a mask also in real life.
That's funny.
Wear a mask. And if I remember right, when Phantom came here, I think Quentin was the Phantom in Seattle.
In Seattle? Yeah, it was him. It was him,
Yeah, so first X-Men was awesome movie. Yeah, Tyler's a great guy.
I love the X-Men movies too.
Yeah, he's super nice, and he has an 11-year background as a professional wrestler prior to that. So
wow.
He'll tell you about all his aches and pains every day as soon as he gets up from all that wrestling he did. He said, the human body's not made for that, and it's really interesting. So Antonio,
we can't answer that because then we'll give it away. The answer to the thing.
Yeah, the giveaway actually is related to that. But if you tune in, if you watch this or you watch the replay, you'll be able to kind of figure out where everybody's from. I think.
There we go.
And I have no problem saying where I'm from since I'm here in Washington State, so that's easy enough. But it's been again one of the best things for me is getting a chance to meet all these people during this time. And in Tyler's case, I met him at a convention like 7 years ago, And
Okay.
he actually remembered me. I was like, "Are you just shitting me?" And he was like, "No, I remember you because you asked me these really interesting questions." And I
Yeah.
wasn't even interviewing. I was just at his table talking to him like I normally do.
Hmm.
And he said, "No, I remember you because you were at the varsity." He remembered the theater and everything where they did a showing of his film there that he was a part of.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm
That's
like,
cool.
"You've got a memory like I don't have."
Right.
That I wish I had.
That's
Um,
funny.
This, Emma, how are you doing with time? We're almost at
I
9:30
think
over here.
I'm getting close to
Okay,
wrapping it up. It's 11:30 where I am.
okay.
Hmm.
Let's do one more question, and then we'll call it the
Perfect.
end to this number
Okay.
9 fun table here. So that means I need to find a good question. Okay. Oh, what is one of your earliest memories?
Mhm. Oh,
Ooh.
Um, one of my earliest memories is me leaving home. I ran away with a suitcase and my wiener dog Duchess, and I did a very dramatic. I was living on a farm at the time, and I was really ticked off because my younger brother had just been born, and we have a 5-year age gap, and so 5 years alone with my parents turned into all of a sudden I'm not the only child anymore. And I was really not pleased with that. Also, my mom was quite ill after she gave birth to my brother, so I kind of blamed him for everything. So
Oh.
I had this very dramatic moment, and I don't remember specifically what I said, but some kind of dramatic monologue as I slammed the gate and says, "Duchess, we're never coming back again." And I walked down the street and with my suitcase crying with my dog. And I remember all of that. And then I don't remember the part where the neighbor picked me up and I went and like played at her house for a while because my mom had called her and said, "Leanne, can you just pick up Eva? She's run away again." And I played at her house for a little bit. And then my mom came and picked me up later. And apparently that was the end of it. But yeah,
That
I was
was
5.
great.
Very dramatic.
Duchess
Duchess.
was with you through it all.
She was there through a lot. Yep. Silly
Oh
little
man,
thing.
what was one of my earliest memories? I think one of the earliest ones is um some of my early there's one of me falling off a swing. I
Oh.
remember falling off backwards off a swing.
Oh no.
But one of my earliest memories was of the first show I ever did. I was 3 years old,
Oh right.
and my dad was singing in an opera in Spoleto, Italy, and it's the Carmen, the opera, and there's a children's chorus in Carmen, and so there are a bunch of little Italian kids singing in this opera, and I can't remember how I ended up in it. I was too young to sing really because I was only 3, but they like put me in as like the fun little like prop kid that the bigger kids got to like sort of drag along. Um, and everyone was wearing newspaper hats and they just sort of gave me one, but they were for big kids. So mine was like really big on me. It like came down to my nose. And I was trying to think of all the stories about this particular thing. I remember this pretty well. The director was Italian, everybody was Italian, and so there was a little boy that I was supposed to follow on stage, and they would just tell me very simply in Italian, like "Vai con lui," like go with him. And my mom was like, "What's that kid's name that you go on stage with?" And I was like, "His
Oh.
name is Louis." I thought that because like
Oh.
Louis is Italian for him, and I thought his name was Louis. And she's like, "His name is Louis?" I was like, "Yeah, they keep telling me to "Vai con Louis." I was like,
Oh my gosh. But also
barely
the
trying to like
3-year-old knows what Vicon means?
I
Like,
know that was the weird thing. I was like a language sponge when I was a kid.
wow, that's
Wherever we
amazing.
traveled, I would just like pick it up. And now, of course, I don't have any Italian. We were in Tel Aviv for a while. I was speaking Hebrew to people. Like kid brains are crazy and just like
Wow.
absorbed it all and then lost it, gone, totally gone.
Wow. That's actually so interesting. I love that.
But that was a very early. I remember like being on stage and I was really
Hmm.
small.
Yeah. 3 is very small for that.
3 is
That's
super
awesome. The prop kid. Dead from that. That's so funny.
I wish you would think I had like this room is full of like memorabilia stuff from my parents' different jobs. We have this tiny Valkyrie over here.
Aw.
There's a picture of me up there meeting the King of Spain. I thought that
See,
I
yeah.
figured-
Emma's like low key,
Wait, hold on.
super a big deal.
I'm gonna get it down. I want to show you.
Oh,
But
okay, here we go.
I don't know where. There's a picture of that performance, and I don't know where my parents put it.
She's also got pictures with RBG too that she
I
posted
do.
today.
Yeah, I saw
Thank
those
you.
on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh
Here I am.
my!
Teeny
Look at
tiny
you.
me. He's
Oh.
asking me to dance because I'm wearing an Andalusian dress. I'm wearing like a traditional Spanish flamenco dress.
My
But I was too
God.
nervous, and so I said no.
Oh! You
So
turned
that's
down
just,
the
like,
King of Spain.
I
That sounds
turned him
like
down.
something out of a really epic story.
I know. I still brag about that a little bit.
Oh my God. Well, you've never bragged about that to me. This is my first time hearing that story. I love it. I love that.
Wow. Well, that's. Oh my gosh, what did I say? I've asked this question before. I'm trying to remember what. I know what it was. I actually I can tell the story again because I need to correct it. I actually had something wrong in the story the first time I told it. So my grandfather on my mom's side was a barber, and so he had a barber shop down in the International District here in Seattle, and so one of the earliest memories for me was going down to Grandpa's to get a haircut, and I did not like it. I'm crying. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be in the chair. And there's actually a picture. I have proof of this where my mom's hands were like kind of not around my neck, but she's trying to hold me still so that my grandpa can do what he needs to do. And then her brother, my uncle, was taking pictures of all of this. So we've got all these different, like, you know, like a storyboard of me like crying and then making a face and doing all these other kind of things. And he had this machine that would like suck the hair off your, like the loose hair off your head, which I was deathly afraid of because it made this really loud noise. So I didn't want anything to do with that. And as I got older, then I grew to like it because I like how it felt. And it's funny now that I don't have any hair at all. So, but we have these pictures of me like just making all kinds of faces that my Uncle Rick was taking pictures of me as I was getting my first haircut with my grandfather. So I understand why they were taking them at the time, but when I turned 50 back in June, my mom emailed me those pictures. Hey, remember these? I'm like,
that's so sweet.
No, that's
cute. Thanks, Mom. I do remember those.
Cute.
Now I need another hour of therapy or whatever.
That's right. Oh no, I was manhandled.
Yeah. Well, hey, Eva and Emma, it was so awesome to do this fun table with both of you and hearing your stories of, you know, really behind the scenes and being on the road with Phantom of the Opera. And so, Antonio, no, we are not all teachers in the traditional sense, but I was a teacher. But I mean, you can use that in any kind of, you know, form in terms of everyone's teaching and learning from somebody, and everyone's a teacher. Sometimes you're a student. But I had such an amazing time having both of you here talking about everything. And yeah, like we said during your individual interviews, hopefully at some point we're past this and we're into, you know, you're doing your pilot or anything else that you're trying to, you know, bring onto the stage, and and that we get our hands back into it. You know, that's what I'm missing. I want to dig into there and start getting those creative juices flowing in that sense of where if someone physically sees it, there's that energy exchange with, you know, the audience and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully we'll get there, you know, sooner than later. And Captain Blackwood, thank you for watching. If you want to message me, I have no problem sending this Blu-ray to you, sir, because you've been a super strong supporter of Alice, of everything that I do. So if you want to message me through Instagram, I'll get this down to you down in Vegas, and it'll be yours, okay? And so stay safe up in Vancouver and down in Louisiana. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you, you know, sooner than later.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks so much, Mark. This was so much fun.
Thank you. And
So fun.
not to put pressure on you, but I have had some people come back. I've had one guest that's done 4 of these.
Wow.
So I actually thought about trying to mix another person into this because I know another opera singer who's been doing opera for a while. And it just depends. If you like, you know, meeting other creative people.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I can always talk to you offline about it. So, all right.
Amazing.
Have a great night. Great weekend.
Bye. Bye.
See everybody later. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.